right. You are midway through figuring out what's happening with the kobolds, but why? So just remember the root cause of what's important to you. There are these farms to the north. We just had an interesting conversation with Merv about Merv's character having gotten a divine message about how bad it is up at those farms in the north, where you know that goblins are raiding these riverside towns. This is where originally you were going to settle before you got kidnapped and assaulted. And this is where you're going to make your living. Goblins are going from where you are now, the Caves of Chaos, a couple days march up to the farms and coming back with a bunch of machinery. Dumping that machinery, the goblins are, in front of the kobold cave. The kobolds then take that machinery in and, as you've recently just seen, brought it into a machine shop where those machines are taken apart in their component parts, gears, springs, wires, weights, hinges, and reassembling it into different things. Have you discovered what those things are? What are they making with what are they putting machinery? What purpose do they have putting machinery together? Who's discovered something about that? Sure. I also sometimes I don't remember what you've discovered already.
Oh, they were going to sell it to the gnolls.
Yes, that's right.
They're
that's
making
right.
mechs to sell to
Very good, mechs,
gnolls.
yeah. So they're turning them into these big sort of like major bodysuits. Well, you were attacked by somebody in one of these, so you got a really good look at these mechs. So that mech was made out of machine parts that were all being brought from the north. So, okay, that's bad. These mechs are dangerous, and they're something that just attacked you. You have inside is a crazed person, so you have to find out more like, okay, where did she come from? And she's still conscious. She's like hanging up there. You sort of picked her up with grappling hooks and stuff from the ceiling. Very good move. So yeah, this machinery is being taken from the north by the goblins. So one thing to figure out is like what's motivating the goblins to go all that way and come back. Goblins are very chaotic and random and voracious and quite simple-minded in many ways. What's organizing them? That's a question. You also wanted to find out what's happening with chaos shards when they're used by people who have those burned eyes. BB has those burned eyes, a rectangle. You found he has a thing that you put on your head that seems to make that sort of burn shape, and it takes chaos shards into it. Maybe I just gave that away, but that's something that you'll quickly discover in this particular area. So once you figure that out, you realize, okay, the kobolds are an important part of the chaos shard economy. Maybe this relates to the mechs. Does anybody know how the chaos shards relate to the mechs yet? There's a link between those that you might discover. Yeah. So these mechs that the kobolds are making, they're selling the mechs to the gnolls, and that's how the kobolds are making money, which they're very intense on. So back to your root cause. Really, you might be motivated by stopping this horrible depredation that your divine vision showed of goblins killing people indiscriminately, stealing things. Kobolds are also coming along with them sometimes, stealing and also just pillaging the land as they go, just eating and burning and killing monsters. Goblins are just propagating everywhere as this happens. So that's one motivation you might have. Your other motivation might be like, everybody here probably cares about the towns a little bit, and that's sort of your base urgency. Like, you don't want to just take a week holiday right now because every day these raids are getting worse and worse. But also, there's a lot of treasure here. The Caves of Chaos are a famed place, but usually too dangerous to go. You can see there's a lot of monsters are always clustered here, which means there's a lot of treasure here. And that means that you've got the ability to level up. You've recently become level 2 by fighting monsters, by fighting dangers. So you get the sense like, wow, it's the same day. Like, you woke up this morning in jail and you're already like level 2 by the end of this day because like, fighting makes me strong, quick, So that might be your motivation as well. It's let's just find problems to solve because that's going to kind of beef you up. And also just riches. You'll find loot. You're finding things that you can buy better equipment with and finding interesting items and stuff like that. So any of those motivations might be your thing. So you want to find out more about what these kobolds are up to because it has to do with the farms ultimately, why the farms are being raided. There's one more place that you haven't figured out. There's this weird silver crack in the wall, sort of lined with silver tiles, quite deep, impossibly thin for anybody to squeeze through. But they say, you've got to visit Jop, but she's back there. And they're too busy right now to explain, repairing all the machines that got wrecked recently, to explain what they mean by that. But this session is about how do we get through that silver crack? Who is Jop and what's she up to? She's obviously in charge, and can she explain some more about what is going on here? All right. So that is your main motivation. Is you want to stop the raids. That's why you're going to go deeper. You voted to go deeper in and figure out the rest of this kobold area to answer your questions about chaos shards and stuff like that. There's also an orrery. This is the big brass sphere that was part of your kidnapping escapade. None of you actually own that orrery, but the kobolds were torturing people to figure out who owned the orrery. They seemed very interested in figuring out how it worked. When you had your argument with the kobolds, you demonstrated the orrery quite well. Like, you really showed off how well you could manipulate it. So they were really interested in that. And they say, oh, Jop is going to want to know about that as well. She's the smart one, they say. So that might be something that will interest you as well. The orrery, how much that has to do with what the chaos, what the kobolds are interested in, is yet to be discovered. As you can see, there's many little things that keep coming up, investigation opportunities that can take mental note of. You might eventually get another chance to do an investigation round if you like doing those. If the group votes for it, you can do another round of delving into all these mysteries and stuff like that. Great. We'll be starting in just a few minutes. If there's anything that I didn't mention because I ran out of time, or maybe I wanted to just leave a more vague hint they want to pick up on, share with each other. Is there anything I mentioned that you think has interesting details to fill in? Go ahead and do that while I get ready. All right. Obviously, I talked so much that I filled in everything. Some people who came here early have done investigations at different times, so some of these investigations happen there. This cold sphere, you two talked about that beforehand, I believe.
We have
not
yet,
so maybe on the break, we have a break, you might want to talk about that. We've done some character leveling up things, and so that's all been good. All right, so just a few more minutes, because I don't like to start before 6 o'clock.
So I have my 4 spells that I'd like to.
Oh yes, right, yeah, so you found a spell scroll, and I said pick 4 spells and randomly, so just number them 1 through 4. Just out for all of us, what are the 4 spells you wish it were?
Expeditious Retreat.
Yeah.
Illusory Script. Featherfall.
Yeah.
And Hideous Laughter.
Okay, so do you have a d4?
Yes.
Roll a d4. So because she rolled a high Arcana check, she narrowed down the list of what this shown. There you go.
I get Hideous Laughter.
Awesome. Hideous Laughter is a good one. That's a level 1 spell. Quite powerful.
So was that your fault?
I also have a spell
I just selected
Could I
them from
open
the
that
list of-
and
So
see
then
what...
before
We
you
could
go
just
out?
come early
No,
next
I
time,
just-
yeah.
it's
So it'll
fine.
still keep,
But it was,
right?
yeah, right.
Now,
You
if
guys
you
were
open it,
just-
because you're a rogue, unless you add a spellcasting class, it won't necessarily do anything. It'll be kind of blank, because my house rule is that when you open a spell scroll, it can sort of sense what is on your spell list, but you wish for it to be certain things. You don't have anything to wish for it to be, because rogues eventually can use spell scrolls through a little trick they know, but normally only spellcasters can use spell scrolls. It has to be something that they ordinarily can cast, but it gives them the power to do it without using a spell slot and all that.
How much
So
would a
you could
spell
sell it.
scroll
It's
be?
worth 50 gold.
50.
So so-
That's interesting.
Yep. Yeah, it's a consumable consumable common item, which usually goes for 50 gold. It's hard to find somebody to buy it, but of course you might sell it to someone else. These prices also help you to sort of negotiate with each other.
Well, seeing as you did give me the healing potion.
Bearing in mind the healing potion was used on something that benefited the whole group.
Yes, that is true.
My sense of fair play is going
Very
against me
good.
there.
Very fair, Davey. Thank you.
Would you
Good
like
teamwork.
the spell scroll?
Well, if it's not going to be any use to you, then I can hold on to it in case I get to use it.
Let me check.
All right, we'll be starting the actual play in just one more minute.
This is worth 50.
Okay, so it's
Everybody's got their stamps, yeah?
I would
Spell
be,
into my spell.
I'd be happy to give it more.
So just checking on that spell,
Mhm.
so I can choose to either cast it or write it into my spell book.
That's right.
I've
Yeah.
got a thing, so evocation savant, which means that the time and gold taken to copy a spell into my spell book is halved.
Nice.
So
That's if it's the evocation school.
We could
I
hold
don't
on.
believe
Oh, I
Tasha's
see.
Hideous Laughter is. But evocation are things like fireball, fireball,
If
something
we
like that.
needed in
I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's not
a
evocation.
spellcasters.
Yeah, and then the
Anyone
DMG
who's
or
running spells
D&D Beyond will explain how much time and cost it takes.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
that they could cast could
Okay.
solve for us.
Right.
Like if we need healing.
Or like there might be
Did
a
you have a-
time where
did you
like
have a-
I'm
Oh, it's
miles away from
Will
you.
we have
I
opportunity
mean,
to
true,
short rest?
but
It's
then
better than
Possibly, yeah,
Yeah.
usually so. I'll give you a meta hint that they'll very commonly start with a rest opportunity, a short rest opportunity. But I'll officially announce that
That's very true.
as your situation allows. I think it will.
just gold.
Hope that banging stays.
We'll get
It's the
the kobolds.
That's right.
They're making this stuff.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So just a brief announcement. Again, welcome everybody who's watching for Courage and Chaos. And absolutely beginner players are learning D&D through a few sessions. This is an episode that maybe 6 or 7? 7. And they've gone through a few things. And if you saw the recap, we know what that is. So remember, these are totally new players. And on patreon.com, you can look for Rolling Rogues and support what we do, because you can see more videos and stuff like that. That's great. Okay. I want to do that shout out for Shoot for Initiative. That's our Spool partner, is our video producer. It's called Spool, and on Twitch they have, and on YouTube, they have something called Shoot for Initiative, which is a really fun combination of D&D and quiz sort of game show. They do physical challenges as part of sort of rolling dice. Instead of rolling, they'll sometimes do some fun, silly physical challenges. Also, just a great story, a great world. Here's a great DM. So it's really worth taking a look at. So that is 6 to 9 p.m. on Sunday, and you can see it on Twitch, and it'll be on YouTube. Also, I got interviewed by Dragon Talk, which is a fantastic opportunity. I already talked about that in the pre-show, but once again, if you look at the Dragon Talk episode, or look at Spool, or look at Patreon, there's going to be links to that all over the place. So I talked about what it's like to have players like you, and how exciting, how much I love, and how much I want to inspire people to do what I do, which is show people how to play D&D and how to layer it on a bit at a time, without going crazy while doing it. Let's see, I'll skip that since Murr's not there. All right, so I already set the backstory, but I like just to recap the scene very briefly where you were. All right, so Torg recently possessed, the red ghost possessed all the machines in the machine shop to try to kill you. You took the machines apart, essentially. You destroyed a lot of machines, and the kobolds are in a panic putting machines back together. They like to stay productive. There's something motivating them. Maybe it's just the money you found out about, but also a sense of urgency. They start mentioning gnolls, like you hear the word gnoll quite a bit, and they're putting the machines together. So they're a bit panicked about the fact that they've had to put down tools for a while. And also they don't have any power, so they were connected to some sort of central conduit that was taken over by the ghost. You came in and helped shut that down, so they're figuring out how to turn it back on. BB, however, is alive, so that's not going to be as much of a setback as if he were dead, which does sometimes happen in parallel worlds, let's just say. So BB is alive, he's the kobold that was in charge of that. He might be able to take things back over. And also, you've kept the place largely intact, including a person in the mech. However, all these things, there's a sense of urgency that's sort of driving you on. Instead of doing all the investigation that you might want to figure out about the stuff I've mentioned, this thing about the gnolls is such that the kobolds are mentioning, saying that the gnolls are coming within a couple hours, and if you're going to talk to Jop, you're going to want to do it right away. That does give you an opportunity for a short rest, however. But as you short rest, before you even short rest, let's say it's just after that combat, you've had a big mech fighting you, you've been burned, you've been shocked, you've been poisoned, and I'm going to zoom in on each of you, and just really briefly with one sentence, you could also just say, here's something special about you that maybe you haven't noticed before. So we have Galarian, Gale. He is a half-elf druid level 2. And as we look at Gale in the aftermath of what just happened, is there anything special about Gale they want to point out? Or will he look and feel differently?
I am a half elf, but it's not all that apparent because I'm quite tall. At 6 foot, so wouldn't expect me to be elvish. But you can, through my luscious blonde locks, see pointed ears.
Yeah.
So
okay.
It has in the combat as I've been moving around.
Sort of slipped out a little bit. I see.
They have slipped out, but you think maybe the hair is left long so that it's not obvious.
Cool. All right, great. I like that. I like that all these visual details are fantastic. Also here is Del. She is a high sun elf, wizard, level 2. What do we notice about Del for the first time right now?
Del doesn't seem to be consciously making a lot of decisions for herself. It's like she seems to be compelled to do things. It's like she doesn't really know what she's going to choose, what decision she's going to make. She's just kind of going with what comes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, okay. What's going on with Del? That's a fascinating tidbit. We have Archie, name on, so-called Archie. He is a human fighter level 2. And is there anything we notice about Archie for the first time here?
Well, after the last battle, of which he's a little bit beaten, sort of bruised, and so forth, but I think there's a new sense of confidence in himself. You know, he took on this mech and took on a whole bunch of damage, and and with the support of everyone, got through.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, he's feeling a bit more confident about life.
Good, I like that. That's a great note to hit. Awesome. Okay, we have also Darrican. He is a halfling rogue level 2. Darrican, you probably came down from your perch up high just recently because that's where you finished the last battle. Is there anything that we notice about you at the moment?
He's very happy to have the baby silver visor. Doesn't know if it'll be useful in terms of trading it back for information or something like that.
Yeah.
But apart from that, he's happy that he contributed to a team effort, especially with the wizard.
Yeah, great. Great. That's awesome to hear. Nice. We also have May. She is a human fighter level 2. What do we notice new about May? Maybe she looks a bit different based on what you're buying and selling.
Yes, she seems very beaten up from that last battle, so she kind of went, that's not happening again. So she went and she got all decked out with her new things. So she has studded armor now. She's got a new rapier and she's got a shield.
Yeah.
So she can kind of, what do you call it again? The
Sword and board.
sword and board.
Yeah, so armor class goes up and is able to be even tankier. This is because you came early, spent some stamps. As you come early, you can do little special things, and because you're friends with the kobolds, which was your group accomplishment, you were able to convince them to put studs into some leather armor you already had successfully, and also just get them to make those things. They're very happy to take your money, so that's great. So we see May looking quite different. Varys, he is a high elf wizard level 2, and what's new about Varys that we might not have noticed before?
There's nothing really new about Paris this time. He kind of took a backseat and wasn't really noticed last week.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
And he looks surprisingly clean.
Yeah. This is a DM trick that is worth talking about. The DMG talks about having characters fade into the background. Like you were here, you had your own fight, you took apart your own machine or something. However, you are, I didn't explain in detail, but you are about as banged up as your companion. So make sure that you take off some hit points and take away some spell slots to be a little worn down, just like all of these people are. That sort of simulates the fact that you were in that
How much
fight as
HP
well.
did you have? Because they're both wizards.
You don't want to shield.
Maybe go an average between the other two wizards.
Yeah, where did you end up?
You can do that at the break, actually. So just wait till the break before we do that.
Yeah, you
We'll talk
definitely
about
know
that.
how low he
Okay,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
on 4. So.
Yeah. You might not be in strife right away, so wait until the break is probably not a problem. We also have here Tulip. He is a hill dwarf cleric level 2. And Tulip, what do we know about you for the first time?
He kind of slyly tries to drunkenly stumble back into the room where everyone else is, because he managed to slip a vintage wine bottle off of Eberk's corpse, and decided to have a few swigs of that.
Mixed the battle completely.
So he's entered the room a little bit drunk, but he looks a little wary now compared to
Okay.
before.
All right,
So
that's good.
his usual drunken happy face looks a bit more like a drunken stern face.
Ooh, interesting. I like that change. Awesome.
Eberk's just been full of prizes for all of us.
Okay. Have I got everybody? I think I got everybody. I did. Oh, no, you just came in. Myrrh. All right, so you're at the top of the list. So, Myrrh, the Unthinkable. He is a high elf wizard level 2. What do we know about Myrrh for the first time?
He's starting to settle in and just feel a little more comfortable with everyone, but he's gotten a little wary about people's ulterior motives.
Okay.
Like a couple of
Interesting.
people in his eyes that he's just very wary about.
Oh, okay, I like that. That's good. I'm a little tantalized by that. That's pretty cool. All right, great. All right, so time sort of kicks in. You have the option to rest. You don't think you're under immediate danger. It's typical, again, sort of doing some DM speak. You can almost always snatch a short rest once in a while. You just need an hour of pretty much not being disturbed and doing light activity. So mechanically, what you do with short rest, I'll explain again. Have I talked about short rest before? Have we gone through the mechanics before of how short rest works?
I think you did,
have,
but I could do with a
Sure,
refresher.
definitely. So the main purpose of short rest is you get hit points back. You can heal yourself by spending hit dice. Now, if you're level 2, as I think all of you are, you have 2 hit dice. Your character sheet should have a space called hit dice, and you've written down 2, like 2 d8s or 2 d6s or 2 d10s based on who you are. So those hit dice are a resource that you spend. I think all of you would have 2, unless you've spent it on another. You've spent 1? Okay, great. So you might have, you do get them back. When you do a long rest, you get 1 hit die back right now. So you might be down 1, you might be down 0. At a short rest, you can roll hit dice that many times. So if you have 2 hit dice, you can roll 1, and then if you don't like the result enough, you can roll it again. Or you can roll 1, and then say, oh, I'll heal a little bit more, I'll roll again. Or you can just roll 1, so you have an opportunity.
Can those hit dice be used for other things? Like,
No,
or
I
are they
mean,
really
as
just
you
for-
level up, there's all kinds of interesting things that your character class does as you get deeper levels, and you can do cool stuff like that, almost like Magic the Gathering kind of rule rewriting. But for now, your default is that you do get things back. Sure. So when you do that, you would roll that die, either a D10 or D8 or D6, and I'll point it out to you if you can't find it, and add your Constitution bonus. That's how many hit points you get back. You just can't get to your maximum. A D10 is larger than that. It's a funny shaped die with irregular faces. That's it. Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Has anyone not got any
I'm
hit
at
die left but
15.
wants some healing?
Very good. Yeah, it's a great time to do that as well.
I'm 1 of 15.
Helpful.
Did I just get 0?
That's 10.
0 is 10.
Okay, good. So I'll go.
So that's 12.
Charlie, what did you get?
Because you had
How many?
Oh, I got a
Constitution
9.
bonus.
9. Great.
Wait,
Wow.
so-
So what's your? Yeah, you have
Oh,
Constitution
plus
bonus.
2. So I
You
got
roll
7
well.
plus 2.
So
So
I've
will
got
give you
12
now
in total.
basically
So I don't want
six.
to like. Is it just to get till you hit the maximum?
Yeah,
You don't-
maximum.
you
Yeah,
don't
so everything
go
else is
over?
lost. Yeah, past the maximum,
Don't
doesn't,
say.
you just lose.
Okay,
Don't
cool.
say.
So,
But you get the maximum is good.
Full health is
Any
fine.
questions about that? So remember your Constitution bonus, and remember your hit die size is written down there somewhere. If you have trouble.
Are they gone there?
Now, make sure you write down instead of 2 hit dice, just cross that off, say 1. Just like
Like
using
one
hit
as well?
points,
Yes.
you
How
now
many
lost a
points
hit
do you
die.
get?
Just one.
down?
Just one.
You get 5,
Use
you
that
get
back
1.
in.
Yes,
Okay,
that's right. So you roll once, and say, I could use a little bit more. You go
So
and
that's
roll
the
again.
last of the berries.
Yep, you
Yeah.
get 5 back.
And just cross it off each time. So, for example, or if you'd have 0 hit dice back because you've done that.
Yep.
Well, you've all used your second. You've both used your second win. So one trick that I've mentioned before is before a short rest, there are certain abilities you get back on your short rest. Like you might get a spell slot back on your short rest. If you're a wizard, you can get your second win back with the short rest. So sometimes a nice trick is before the short rest. Oh, yes, I think so. Almost. Almost. No, that's fine. You can do it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the short rest, the one trick you can do is say, I'm going to use my second wind and then do my short rest, and you know that you get back. Unless something attacks you during that hour.
I tried
You'd already used it, I
to
remember.
one and it didn't
Yeah.
work.
Okay.
So you said like, was it the mechs and the kobolds that had connection, or was it the gnolls and the kobolds?
It was the kobolds make the mechs, and they sell them to the to the gnolls.
Okay.
I'm just recapping what you all discovered in your argument.
To make money for the dragons.
Dragon.
TMI.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, in general, I'll let you fill in on the details, but if I hear something that's right or mostly right, I'll usually say, yeah, that's true, and I'll go and jump in. Okay. Any questions about short rests?
I'm good.
Powers recharged. Make sure you've got your second win back. If you're marking at the checkpoint, you check mark and get that back.
HP.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very happy.
So, motivated as you are to kind of keep things moving, based on your vote last time, you want to get in to see Jop Jop, so you're wondering how. You're taking a closer look at that silver crack, and you're like, it doesn't move, there doesn't seem to be a keyhole, so you're a bit puzzled. Dak Dak sees that you're doing this. Dak Dak is very happy, by the way. This is all his idea, to have you all be friends, and it's all going so well.
Next thrills.
Dak Dak with his big
I'm-
backpack.
I'm
Cobalt.
thrilled that Dak is I'm happy.
Can we
for
take
that.
him with
Yeah,
us?
all right, yeah. So which of you have a ripenable chaos shard around your neck, right? Because remember that some of you sort of traded off with the kobolds and they gave you an offer to give away maybe some of your normal chaos shards, your raw chaos shards, and have one that's on a necklace. So who has at least one thing on a necklace? Yeah, so you do. So Dak Dak sort of corrals the both of you together, but all of you are interested because you feel you have the ability to get one of your own eventually. And he sees that you have that shard. Of course, he knew it, that you got it. And he's like, so those are good. I want to tell you about this. Yeah, they're great. So you make it glow. Right now, your thing, not glow. No glow. He looks at it with the monocle. No glow. What you go and you can fire it up. When you make it glow, it's worth lots of money. You do steal deal, which he means trade or sell. You do steal deal, you get to steal a lot of money by letting them steal glowing shard away from you. Lot of money. Also, do other things. So you notice a few things as you do this. When you, who have a necklace shard, if you have it on you, you kind of, now that you've sort of paid attention to and he's paying so much attention, you kind of feel a little something. It's almost like, especially the higher your insight is, the sharper this feeling is. And you can roll insight or investigation later on to know more. But even just basically, you feel like it's almost like it feels like a companion. It's almost you sort of visualize it as almost like a little pet that you have with you. It feels like there's sort of simpatico kind of companionship that you're feeling from it, almost as if there's some intelligence in this thing that kind of resonates with you. And it only happens when it's around your neck. If it's in your pocket and in your hand, it doesn't seem to do that. So when it's hanging there right over your heart, it kind of can sort of, it seems to respond a little bit, like especially when you're interested in something, you feel like it gets interested in something as well. So more to discover there. As that happens, he's sort of plugging that in to those of you who are wearing it. He pulls out his monocle glass, Dak does, and looks at it and says, yes, you can do it. You can make it glow. Very rare to be able to make glow. I can't make glow. My brain, my soul, I don't know what. I can't do it. They can't do it. BB can't do it. It's like BB, sort of waving him off. BB's trying to get the machine working again. He's like, yeah. No, you need to ripen it. You to make it glow. It only glowing tiny bit right now. That's not enough. You can make it glow then you get that steel deal. When it glow also, if rich one, take glowing shard, put it into silver visor, points it to you at Darrican, because Darrican has the silver visor. Silver visor, and he sort of whispers, he says, I don't think BB knows that you have a silver visor. If someone happened to have silver visor, he's like sort of waving, you sort of like hide it, you put it in visor, put it on eyes, rich one get very crazy, rich one very happy, rich one give you a lot of money, rich one go party, go party once rich one put glowing shard in visor, and they party all night. That's why much money. All right, so you've gotten some information about what is happening there.
It's like, sounds like a drug.
We've got party drugs.
Now,
Let's go.
yeah. So seeing that some of you are interested, and now he's maybe guessing like, who else able to do this? He basically goes into his backpack and said he seems to be doing like a combination lock in there or something as well, and he is offering to give you a chaos shard on a necklace. You can have your own chaos shard. He's so excited about it. Some of you, if you traded away a chaos shard, did you give away a raw chaos shard to get yours? Did you give away a raw chaos shard to get yours? Yeah, did you? Okay. So, he wants to make sure that he knows whether if you can keep your raw chaos shard, but he knows that this is an opportunity. Each of you who do not have a ripenable chaos shard, please write that down. So you can have both your raw chaos shard that you decided not to give up, because it's sort of what you elected to do last time. Now you have a second item, which is just a chaos shard on necklace, but also called ripenable, right? It needs to be on the necklace and in that position to glow. And ripening is what their word for glowing is.
So it's on our next
Yeah. Now you have it in your possession. By default, as he's advising, you should wear it around your neck because then it has a chance to glow. So by default, if you don't write otherwise, we'll assume that you're wearing it because you're writing down necklace. I assume you're wearing a necklace. But if you say, nah, I don't want to put this thing on, just say, in pocket or in backpack or something. So commit on your paper whether you're wearing it or not.
I'm wearing it.
All right. And as you do so, he'll use his monocle, and he says, move around room, look at things. And so as you sort of look at the machines and talk to kobolds, he pulls out the monocles. Yes, you can make glow too. All of you can make glow. All of you, very important, very rare. So he's very excited that you can make them glow. As you're doing that, you glance over at that crack in the wall. Okay, that's great. What about this thing that we need to go through? Before the gnolls arrive, we have to get through this crack. And now you notice that there's over it this crack is sort of shaped like a keyhole. It's lined with those silver tiles. At the top of it is a round grating, like a bronze grating. And you can see through there, you can see now a color you're familiar with, that black metal, but it looks like basically a chaos shard is like the size of a walnut instead of like the little sort of corn kernel size that you have around your necks and in your pockets. This one's like the size of a walnut. And you can see it's on the other side of this grating. Well, you notice the grating has these weird sort of crooked lines. It's almost like a cheese grater that's been sort of twisted. And you notice the pattern of that grating is the same as the patterns of this big crack that you're on. So you kind of look closer at it. As you get closer to it, anybody doing this, you feel kind of sick, first of all, like, okay, there's a weird energy coming from that. Like, it feels like just like radiation, like, you get a little confused. You feel like the thing on your chest is also kind of resonating as well, like there's some sort of resonant energy between what's hanging around your neck and that thing. And as you lean into it, your ears kind of pop. You feel like, I feel like I'm getting squeezed. It's almost like you're kind of pushing yourself into, like a ringer of some sort, which is kind of an unpleasant feeling. And you can even go all the way up the crack and nothing special happens, but just if you're close to it while wearing this thing, you just feel a little strange. Dak Dak is watching this very carefully. And he says, oh, yes, when shard glowing, you can go into place of creation. And he points through the crack. Place of creation, yes, be like Jop Jop. She create many things in there. She powerful. She tell Bibi to bring her shards, glowing shards, and bring her machine parts. Jop Jop smart. To get in, you have to have glowing shard. Only people with glowing shard allowed in, and you can get through. Now, how that happens, you don't know, because yours, none of yours are glowing yet, but it doesn't look like it's used as a key or anything. But okay, that sounds fine. As distracted as he is, he gets back to you and says, okay, so make shard glow. To make shard glow, you need to see things, feel strong about things. Start with your memories. Remember feelings. Remember bright things. Yeah. I know. You go to Mushroom Memories Cave. Yes. Use mushrooms there. You remember, and you get feelings. Yes. That best way to get the shard glowing fast. But need to do quick. Do now. Do right away. All right.
So many drugs.
I'll take some mushrooms.
All the drugs.
All right. So,
Looking
like I
for a
said,
good time, guys.
you've each got a shard on a necklace. You've been told about these mushroom caves. He gives you a direction that actually leads you out of the Kobold Cave and out into the Caves of Chaos, the canyon. You're going to be out under the sky for the first time since this happens, and you're going to go a little distance. It's just right across the way on the canyon. The canyon is like a long sort of channel, and you have to scamper across. All right, so he tells you where to go. He tells you to hurry. It's something about like, you want to get it ripening soon. You don't know why. Like, it's important that you do it now. The door to the machine room, like clank, 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 that portcullis gets opened, and you are welcome to go. All right, give a moment to reset as the scene changes.
We're outside, heading back the way
You will be.
we were captured.
Yeah, so now you're recreating your steps. You're going back to the outside. Oh, and I did not tell you about the slide there. So this is the Guardian Dak Dak's idea. Yeah, okay. You keep it there for a second. Yeah.
I love Dak Dak. He's so cute. Hope he doesn't die.
All right.
Like they're always gonna die.
Matthew looks at you, just rolls the dice.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good idea.
That would be so mean.
All right.
So we're going outside.
Yes, you're going to go outside.
All of us
Taste
like,
this
We'll
summer.
get sunburns.
yeah.
I'm just not used to it anymore.
All right, so again, this is just basically following, your plan here. So now, normally in D&D, usually there's like I might do a group vote right now. Like we're in real sandbox mode, as I call. It's like, well, this is something you can do, but do you do it now? You get to vote one way or the other. As a DM, I basically give you a lot of choice between sessions, but then considering that there's some things that I want to get through, this says we're going to fulfill the mission. Believe me, to fulfill your main mission, which is to talk to Jop Jop, this seems to be the best thing. So I'm sort of pushing you along, but in more mature D&D, as you get deeper down, this is a chance where players really can go different directions if they sort of vote that way. But in this case, I'm assuming that you're going to go to the Mushroom Cave, so now we can go to the next slide. All right.
So the DM just mentioned, if anyone picked it up, that the gnolls are coming.
We got a couple
Yes,
of hours.
in a few
So-
hours. Yes.
So I'm not sure if that was intentional or
Yep, gnolls are coming
the
soon.
gnolls
yeah.
are coming. So
Yeah.
And
Are
we're
we gonna run
depleted.
into them when we're all high?
Yeah, we're coming back.
You're a little
I
depleted,
know.
hopefully because you're short rest, you
Gnolls
get down
have
some spell
machines
slots.
and
One of your main
gnolls
things
are
like your
bad,
spell slots are the
so-
main thing get depleted during the day.
I'm
All right.
Yeah, how
You
sort
wanna-
of don't want to come back.
You want
on
to
the
be
gnolls.
quick.
Here we go. So, you get outside. It is kind of late afternoon. This is the same day you got that you broke out of jail. You broke out of jail this morning. You woke up tied and manacled, and now it's the end of the day, and you're already level 2. You sneak out a little bit, but there's very heavy bush cover around there because the kobolds themselves are very sneaky, and they sort of snuck you into the canyon and snuck you through. So you kind of knew that cover would be out there, and you can really kind of move from bushy part to bushy part to get all the way across the canyon, which I suggest you do. You don't really want to stick your head out too much to check out things because there's goblins everywhere. First of all, those goblins are still coming and going from the kobold cave. There's also, you hear like a bunch of grunting and roaring by something way up the side, like above your heads as you come out, like, okay, don't let those things see you, whatever they are. And there's just like weird smells and like footprints you don't recognize and all kinds of crazy things. So this is your sort of level 2 cell, just like, sort of scampering, just following the directions, following the landmarks that the kobolds gave you. Again, this is an opportunity that was like, oh, hell no, let's go check out that grunting. This is something that, more transgressive or like combat-oriented party might do. But I think you're interested in the story, so I'm assuming you're going to try to follow the mission. So you scamper your way across, and you go into a cave on the other side. So, this narrow canyon, just imagine you go 100 feet, 30 meters or so from bush to bush, and following those landmarks, into a cave you go. This is a natural cave. This is set into a big sloping hillside. You're in basically a trench, that goes from east to west. And these caves are all dug or naturally formed in the sides at different heights along these sloped grounds that form the trench. So this is pretty much near the bottom. You're able to get into it. So the cave is a natural cave. It doesn't seem to have been, hewn and worked in any way because the kobold's cave was actually hacked away to make it more passable. This is much more organic. It goes off in 2 major directions that you can see right away, and there is a little hole that you'd have to squeeze through. Maybe for a kobold it's comfortable, but for you all it's a bit uncomfortable. But that is the one that he said to look, and you can actually see a little bit of a glow, like there's this sort of glowing light that's filtering up through this little channel, and that was you're instructed to go down. The other 2 directions, they're of interest. You might want to note, like, oh, there's something to check out later. But the other 2 directions, I'm just saying, you kind of get that hair on the back of your neck sort of rising. Is like, one direction you smell something really animal, like it smells like an animal den. Your hunter instincts, especially those of you who are like folk hero types.
Wet dog.
Yeah, if you've got survival skill, if you've trained in survival, then you'd be like, this smells like there's some sort of creature that lives down that way. That sounds like a distraction, especially.
Like name the animal, like the species.
Yeah, that's right.
That sounds like something we don't want to find.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
From the smell, could we tell what it is? What sort of animal it is?
If you want to take a move, if you weren't in a hurry, I'd say take a move. Especially with a table like this, just maybe make a mental note. And usually if you've been to a place, later on it's easy to get back to that place. So later on when it's time to make a move, you say, I'm going to go back to that cave and I'm not going to put you through a lot of rigmarole because you've already been here once. So you can just make a note for checking that out later. In the other direction, you actually hear muffled jabbering that sounds like goblins, which again is a bit terrifying because even meeting 1 or 2 goblins would be a little problematic, and this sounds like several of them. Strangely muffled, maybe it's just because it's distant, you can't tell. That's the other direction. So these are the 2 directions that, you just get a sort of a bad feeling about going either of those directions, considering that you're on a mission to follow the mushroom cave. You can go down the glow. So again, unless there's a huge objection or you just make some notes, we're going to keep that going.
All right. Let's get these mushrooms.
Okay.
Let's get this done.
All right. Checking my notes, and we're on the same. Next slide, please. Yeah. Okay. Now these things for people watching stream and for you yourself, if you're a member of the Patreon group, if you donate on Patreon, you get access to materials, where I've actually released materials now that you can start using these templates and start using some of this material. As I release more and more, you can actually start doing these things. This is something that has a story reason, but I'm also mentioning the mechanics. This number 358, you can search for that string in the materials that I release and find something that helps you run this kind of thing here. Anyway, you are getting into this cave, and you have to go through one at a time. Normally I'd say, oh, what's your marching order, make you all nervous, but at this point, let me just sort of hand wave that one of you goes first, and by the time you get to the mushroom cave, nothing bad has happened. But this is usually where you decide your marching order. You have to squeeze through this, by the way. Like, there are times where you can kind of duck walk, but there are times where, as a medium-sized creature like humans and dwarves are, you really have to kind of force yourself through a few things, whereas halflings you can move through more comfortably.
I just
Halflings are
walk
small.
through.
That's right, yeah.
You're watching us just ducking, just like breathing, like sucking in, and to wiggle past things. Okay, I'm just gonna walk straight.
Okay. So whoever is in first, the first couple of people, the glow is getting stronger. There's real smell. It is basically a mushroomy smell, like a sort of a fecund smell, and sort of wet and moist as you go down there. And the glow is stronger. It opens up into a cave. It's kind of a medium-sized cave, not much larger than this room, roughly sized. But there are a lot of glowing mushrooms here, so the place is quite bright.
Shiitake.
It seems to be that, and as you get closer, they start glowing a little bit brighter. So they are normal mushrooms with caps, and it's the caps of the mushrooms that are glowing, and they're all sort of pulsing just sort of different colors, like they're sort of alternating with their colors, swimming over each other. The mushrooms get bigger and bigger the deeper into the cave they get, and the mushrooms in the middle, they're getting quite large, like sort of the size of a humanoid, a medium creature. There's this one really big one in the middle. It's glowing as well. But looking at it, it's kind of hard to look at. Like there's some sort of magical power that seems to be emanating from it. And this is not like the chaos shard. It's like you start to feel kind of happy but kind of flighty, and it's like it just gives you this kind of like jumbly, sort of speedy sort of feeling. Like, oh, I'm getting very excited. Your heart starts racing. So okay, don't look at it. Don't look at it. As you look at the mushrooms themselves, because you're all sort of filtering, you realize there's no real danger here apart from that weird feeling. When you look at a mushroom, you just kind of find it like just the cap, it like looks kind of cool, like you just find your brain gets a little bit drifty, and memories start to surface to your head. You start to remember things really vividly, and the mushroom color sort of congeals into one constant color, and this is where this will come in, this next exercise. You're finding that emotional memory is very strong. So you find like some of the most emotional moments of your life are coming to mind as you look at these things, and that's what we use in this exercise. Does everybody here have a chaos shard around their neck? If not, this is your chance to put it around. Those of you who have a chaos shard around your neck, again, it starts to very dimly glow, a little bit brighter than before. You see it on each other as you're looking at these mushrooms. So you think that to continue that is going to make your shard glow more, which you're told. But it's if you don't make your shard glow, this is the choice I'm giving you. You can say like, I'm not going to be a guinea pig. I'm going to keep it in my pocket. So again, you can commit to whether you're wearing your necklace shard. But if you're not wearing it, just make sure you write in your character sheet, just say, in pocket or backpack. All right. We're going to do some memories and things. Those of you who are wearing the shards, you'll find there's a benefit. You can make it glow, whether that's a good thing or bad thing. If you don't have a shard on, this exercise is still very much for you. So you don't have to wear the shard in order to have some fun with this that we're about to do. So each of you pick a set of Post-its, just kind of distribute these along. Take 3 Post-its of a color, so all the same color. Spread those around. Each of you takes 3 Post-its of a single color. And in the corner, just write your character's name, because we won't have too many unique colors here.
Matt, I'll just be out for a bit.
Sure. Yeah, no, we'll be good for a while.
If you need me, I'll be listening, so
okay.
just be on it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no, this will be going for a little while.
Say that again, Matt. Instructions?
Yeah, so just write down, just stick 3 of them in front of you, and in the corner of each one, just write your name, because I'm going to be collecting these later on.
Our name
and
or our
using them.
character's name?
Your character's name.
Okay, so
Yeah, so it's just a corner to make it unique. All right. What I said, you have an emotional memory. So I want each of you to start thinking in character, and you're making this up, right? You have total control of your character's backstory. Don't worry too much about violating my world, because I find ways to weave these things together later on, right? So you'll be adaptable, you'll be tweaking these memories, but as you think of something from your character's past that has a really strong emotion, like an emotion that has a word or two that describes that emotion, and a really vivid memory.
like a good emotion?
It can be a good or bad emotion. Yeah. So you're going to focus on, so this memory, you're just going to make it up, something important or that really moved you to one emotion or the other. And you're going to be using this emotion each time. So you're going to come up with 1 or 2 memories that both have this emotion. So, and this is something that will be a theme for your character. So it's something your character feels pretty often. There's one emotion that your character kind of keeps coming back to several times in your experience. What is that emotion? And then on just one Post-it, you're going to write down a memory. So write down this happened to me and I felt this. What is that memory? Write some things down. I have pencils, rubbers. If you can't write, make sure you ask for one of these.
So 3 memories and 3 emotions?
No, only one memory for right now.
Okay.
Just one memory on one Post-it right now. Now, as you do so, you'll want to commit to where it happened. So try to think of it happening in a place. So describe a type of building or an actual building or a geographic location or that. And also think of, it should involve one other person, animal, or object. So something happened between you and a person, animal, or object that featured very strongly in this memory.
Oh, that just throws my memory out the way.
If one of those is missing, I can work with you creatively. So if you like a memory but you don't know how to associate with a place or person or object, you can leave that part out, and then we'll
So one or two memories?
just one memory.
Just
Yeah,
one memory?
yeah. So the other post-its come later.
Okay, so it's on one. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, do we write the emotion on there? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. You say, and I felt blah. Yeah. So this happened, and I felt blah. And if somebody already has their post-it, we'll start doing it. Of course, you could all be writing down. You can half listen to what other people are doing because this is all you're gonna tangle these things together. But if anybody has one ready, let me know. Cool. All right. Great. So just maybe you can read from it or tell me what it is. Or no, here, let me read it because I'll make sure I can understand. I'll outline things. All right. From Davey, emotion of anger. All right. So my village was attacked by goblins only 2 weeks ago, and someone was almost killed. That's great. So I'm going to underline village. Okay, the main place where it happens is a village. Your village might not be the same village that Davey is thinking of, but this is an opportunity. Maybe if you come up with a village memory, it's at the same village. I'll describe that later. So I'm underlining village. Attacked by goblins only 2 weeks ago, and someone was killed. So we had a place, so now the thing that you're with is goblins, right? So that's a key part. Now I'm going to put this on a grid, and Liam, if you're here, you can remind me to put this back in place. I'm going to make a grid here where I've got columns and rows.
So just one motion, or?
Just one motion for now. Just stop it, and I'll go get around to each of you. All right. So we have village is a column. I always do this wrong because I'll put the rows over here. And goblin is the row. I'm going to stick this here. And Davey, I'd like you to write just on one of your post-its, write down anger in sort of big letters. You mentioned anger here, and you'll know by the color. So, now all of you are going to have separate memories, and so you don't have to. But this is an opportunity. If you don't care about if you want to tweak your memory, if you happen to have a memory that happened in a village, or you can make it happen to a village, that's good. As you find things in common, you're going to have rewards basically for doing that kind of thing. This is upside down, but I'll turn it around later on.
I might have room in that one.
This is upside down. I don't know if you could do it with a rotation trick, but it'll be. I'm writing so much, so I won't be able to keep turning it around. So who has got another memory? And it can involve something completely new. It doesn't have to be village. It doesn't have to be goblins. But if you can figure out a way for something that uses goblins or village or other rows and columns, that will be good. I'll explain why. Anybody got one?
I hope this meets the criteria.
Fantastic. All right.
It's independent.
By Archie, very good. Yeah, so an old neighboring farmer who befriended Archie when he was a boy and who taught him to hunt and speak Elvish. Okay, good connection. Always felt safe and contented when with him. Yes, that's exactly it. So just think of a place where you had a really special moment with this farmer. So I'm going to write down farmer.
So in the farms. In the farms. No, let's say in the forest. Hunting.
Sure, that's right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put down forest. So now there's a new row, a new column. I'm going to put it here. So as you can see by the way it's laid out, his memory doesn't have anything in common with this one, but that's okay. Eventually these things will have things in common, and I only have so many rows and columns, so you're going to start catering things to be the same thing. But the important part is farmer, and it's like in forest, I'm going to write down, is the place. Great. Okay. I was cheated by my past employer. I had no one to stand up for me, and I felt vengeful. And he mentioned city. Okay, that's great.
It is city, I guess.
That's awesome. That's perfect. So, again, the emotion for you, Archie, make sure you write down, how did you feel?
Safe and contented.
Yeah, you could write down safe. Safe is a great one. Yeah,
So write down on a separate post-it.
yeah, just once I do your, so just like Davey did on your separate post, just write in big letters, safe.
On both?
Yeah, I'll get to you in a second. Yeah, I'm just doing the ones that are there. So, May, I'm going to do yours. All right, yeah. So, my past employer, that's good. I like that. That's a good general one. So, I'm going to add employer to the board. Employer or boss. And again, if you have something in common, if you can tweak a memory to involve an employer, or something close enough that you can snap it into place, that's great. I know in Stanford, and this is in a city. City is a little vague. Do you want to say what's the specific part of the city that this happened, and what kind of building was it in, maybe, or kind of
It
place?
was, I guess, in a poorer kind of area. I'm not sure what that's called.
Yeah,
Slums.
in a slum.
Slums.
Great. So now we have a new area called slum. And again, your memory might be the same slum, like Fallcrest has a lot of slums, but it could just be a different slum in a different place. But Fallcrest is a major place.
It was the slum in Fallcrest.
Slum and Fallcrest. Okay, so I'm going to put down slum and I'm going to put down employer. So again, this doesn't have anything in common, but we're building up the grid. Thank you. And now you can write down vengeful.
On both?
Yeah, just yeah, it's just fine. Yeah, it's on both. But one post-it, write it in really big letters because that just reminds you, like you've written down safe. At most, you're going to do 2 memories before this exercise is over. So each of you will maybe get to 2 memories, maybe 1, depending on how well we go. Okay, from Dell. So when I was quietly studying the natural world in the forest near my village, very good, I was taken by the beauty and complexity of bees and other insects interacting with flowers. I felt inspired. Great things here. So inspired, write down inspired on one of your big ones. I love that. It's a forest, so I don't have to change anything there. So maybe it's the same forest as Archie. Maybe you actually met in this forest. You know each other because you're in the same forest, or at least you have something to talk about. You have a forest memory that gets together. It's up to you. Forest near my village. I could say village instead of forest, so I just picked that out because that's a good one. So the thing is like bees and other insects interacting with flowers. Does anybody have anything like, anybody have anything that they could turn into insects or turn into flowers? There's 2 different things I could pick here. Anybody have a memory that involves insects or flowers? You're a flower type.
Oh, it's, I mean, there's
Okay.
Yes.
reference to it.
Yeah?
One of mine would be a flower.
Awesome. Because you're sort of planning ahead. All right, so I'm going to write down flower, flowers. And I'm going to keep this in forest. Flowers and forest. Now, what do these intersections mean? Now that these 2 match each other, the fact that you're both thinking of a forest, your shards glow a little bit brighter than other people's. So and now you can kind of see each other's memories. Like you almost see through each other's eyes a little bit. Like, wow, I'm seeing your memory, dude. This is so cool. As you're sort of staring at these mushrooms, right? and you notice that makes it glow. So your motivation to use these things in common is that you can tell it's making it glow more strongly. Okay, great, thank you. And also the emotion of that one's inspired. So as if I didn't mention before, did I already got that? All right, from Darrican. In Lake Nen on the forest outskirts, so we have 2 possibilities there, that's great. Thieves, goblins, and monsters attacked me. I remember going into a fit of fear, feeling terrified and defeating every last attacker. Hung, slain, butchered, all dead. Ooh, very colorful, that's awesome. So write fear in big letters there, that's your emotion you're gonna keep coming back to, I love that.
This was probably not the rated the best, but when I first started, I remember that like I had left Lake Nen, escaped to the forest, and woke up and there were like bodies everywhere.
Woo!
Do you remember me narrating that? Yeah. So that was the memory of that I was actually the person that committed all
Yeah, I love that.
Like they, in some sort of way, like they activated some sort of berserker rage in me that just made me like
That's
just
awesome.
go absolutely insane on them.
That's
all.
awesome.
So, yeah.
So what I'll do is, again, you sort of snap in one or the other. So there's Lake Nen and there's forest here. I'll normally put it in forest, but if somebody says, oh wait, I have a Lake Nen memory, specifically a lake or Lake Nen memory, then I can make a new column for lake.
Yeah, it's on the outskirts of Lake Nen.
Yeah, that's why yours can go
forest,
either way.
yeah.
So if anybody wants me to write down lake, because you've got a lake idea, otherwise I'll put it in forest.
Is Lake Nen high? Is it?
It's getting
at
up
altitude?
into, not high, it's still on the river
Slow.
valley.
Okay.
Yeah, so it comes off of the Nentir River. It's north of Fellcrest. You actually went by Lake Nen on your carriage. A lot of elves and halflings come from there.
That's why, yeah, basically got picked up.
Okay, so we'll keep it on forest, but goblins. So now that you're thinking of goblins, you and Gale are also resonating with each other. Like both of you thinking of goblins, you can have something to talk about there. Okay, again, we'll just get one memory from everybody, and if we have time, we'll do some second ones. Okay, all right, Myrrh. So found a worthy mentor. I felt excited when I saw him display their magic in a village. Okay, great, we have a few options. That's a nice one, yeah. So beautiful display of magic, that'd be very inspiring to you as a wizard. I'm going to say excited, so go ahead and write down, excited, maybe thrilled, because excited is sort of general. I'd say maybe thrilled, that kind of happy sort of excitement, but excited or thrilled is fine. It's on display their magic in a village. So I can put in a new row for magic. If somebody's got a magic memory that you want to open up, this is probably the last row that I can create. Or I can create mentor, maybe employer. Maybe you can change the mentor to like this person was basically your employer. That might be something you'd want to steer it to. Any thoughts on where you want to bend it?
I'm bending to like an isolation sort of thing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. So I do like mentor. because that's something that I know that other people will probably be able to go off of. Unless there's somebody who says, oh, like magic is perfect for me, but you got magic instead.
Magic is kind of perfect for me.
Great, okay, cool. Because it's the last row.
Hey Matt,
Yeah.
someone new's just joined in and with a raid, and he's wanted to know what's up.
We're teaching D&D to new people, so these are people who are very new to D&D. They've only been around through a few of my sessions. They've never rolled these dice before, and we are learning about how to build a backstory that tangles you up with each other. This is something that I wrote myself, but I'm always inspired by what other designers do. It's just to have a fun, easy, bite-sized way to get you entangled with each other with backstories. All right, so what I'm going to put this is in a village, yeah? So this happens in the village and involves magic. So again, those of you, or if you have a village memory, I think it's you again, so you're getting some resonance with, maybe it's the same village. You can also think like, oh, we actually have a similar backstory, like we're literally the same village. Who's got a Post-it that they haven't given me yet?
I'm going to change mine to fit that on.
Sure, yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's what this is about. This is all about, making backstories. It's fun to say yes to each other and let yourselves kind of get tangled up. You sort of find these little interesting compromises or changes. All right, from Tulip. Yeah. What's this? What kind of flowers? The
Also, that's
ROI?
That's the ROI flowers.
Ah, your
are
goddess.
His following.
Following. Okay. So the day the ROI flowers were captured, I recall the half-orc female being dragged away and the others sold to slave traders in the weeping forest. I felt fury. Fantastic. So fury, make sure you write that down in really large letters. Your memories will have a lot of fury.
Does anyone have any good memories? Like, gosh, is it all like
It was good.
That's right.
This was
Flowers.
good?
So
Okay.
we've already got that.
Okay.
The place. All right. Yeah. This is
Got, like,
this
three
all.
good memories.
This happened where they're captured. They're in the weeping forest. Okay. So it's great. Forest and flowers. So we have a double sort of overlay here.
We're very mopey people, aren't we?
So Tulip, you have something that involved flowers in a forest that involved fury, whereas Dell, you have flowers in forest that was inspiring. So you both sort of see forest in different ways, like being in a forest kind of causes different things. But also maybe these two events were related somehow. Like maybe this beauty and complexity got destroyed by this raid. Like you came here first, and later in the timeline, like, oh, I know that spot, and terrible things happened to it. So you're kind of tied together. Again, the fact that you're got that in common. Yeah, your memories are resonating with each other.
How did
Another
all this
Post-it. Who's got
happen?
another one? Great, thank you. All right, from Varys. Met a fortune teller in a slum who showed me flashy illusions of my future. With excitement and pride. Great. Yeah, excitement is sort of partly taken. I like being specific. So pride, I think, is an awesome one. So write pride in big letters. Yeah, so being proud. In the slums, we've got the place down there. And this is fortune teller, illusions of my magic, so it could involve the magic one. Good job. Yeah, you've really gotten the hang of that. This is in a slum. So again, you've got something in common here with Myrrh. So Myrrh, your thing have involved magic, so there's some things that resonate there. Also, this thing happened in a slum, and again, you might know each other because you've been to the same slum with May. So there's some things that might link Varys and May that way. See how this works? These are all causing you to glow, and you're definitely seeing each other's memories. We'll have some moments where you can write some things down and also twist it further. Everybody's gone once, yeah? Okay. There might be an opportunity for round two. I can't guarantee that everybody will be gotten to, and it's not like you get more glow benefit from more memories, so don't feel like for a mechanical reason, but if you have something like, oh, I've just got another memory, I can't wait to get out there. It does have to fit onto the grid as it has. So it has to have, one of these things in common. And let's check the time to make sure we're doing okay. Or you can just talk about like, oh, hey, let's talk about your backstory.
Farmer, employer, flowers, magic.
Cool. Okay. Yep, got that. Yep. Talked about them ripening more strongly. Got that. The rows and columns, I talked about that.
So we are doing another memory writing.
Yeah, I'd say you don't have to, and I won't get to everybody, so no guarantees. But I think we have time for another memory. I'm just making sure I'm covering things. So if you've got a memory that you think is really cool, especially that relates really well, that might link you to another character really nicely, feel free to talk to characters, like what memories you have. This is a great opportunity to make a memory that really meshes you together.
I don't have a second one yet.
Do I really?
He's trying to maybe bounce off a few of the others, see if maybe they mention like a village, and I'm like, I know a village.
Cool. Yeah, we should have time to do at least a few more memories. So don't feel obligated. If you've got a strong one, definitely write it down. And you've already done a great job. You've already got things where your shards are glowing a lot, so that's all great. But a
Everyone's
second
at least
memory.
connected to someone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. yeah, especially if you have nothing really connecting you in an interesting way, you might use that as inspiration. Give you a few more minutes, and I'll start getting candidates.
I was gonna put down the if I went into this abandoned house and found a body with a tag up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, hey, that's on the table. Basically, if you already had it, if that's been vivid in your mind ever since the introduction show, and you got somebody else, especially can match, we could put on another column, but you might be able to say that there's some sort of relationship there.
And everybody can be like,
Yeah.
on these shirts, like, whoa, me too.
Yeah, whoa, me too. I saw that too. That's actually
Was it a
true.
dream?
I thought I dreamed that.
Like we
All
grew up in
right.
the same school.
Anybody have one that they're ready with?
Would you go up first?
Have one that's ready? Go through it.
Every day.
Okay, good stuff. And again, just talking to people on the stream and those who are able to think. It's just a way to get people to make backstories. That's sort of the easy part. But it's in bite sizes, so they don't have to commit to pages and pages of backstory. They're just thinking of a key memory. I take all the stuff later on and figure out ways to weave them in together. So I'll come back next session and say, hey, if we tweak this memory just a little bit more, I got the location where you were. I've got this link that you have, and it's a great way to tangle them together. So you get characters connected to each other, which is the real magic, right? Players who have played together a lot, they might just do this, over a beer. Like, let's make a backstory that tangles up with each other. But for total new beginners and people who don't know each other yet, this is a great way to sort of make it happen a bit more organically. From Darrican, yes.
Someone was just wondering if it's possible to ask for some help after the stream, after the game. Or
The best thing to do is to go into Patreon. So if you go to Patreon, I can be contacted there, and I love giving help. And as people sort of get involved, I sometimes will do one-on-one things. But unfortunately, I drink beer after the stream. We're here in Australia, and it's my patriotic duty to drink beer with all of you if you want to afterwards. So thank you, but I won't be able to. But we might do a Q&A, so we'll talk to Spool. We might do like a special show that's just on stream that's like a Q&A show. I'd love to do that. Yeah, ask me anything. Darrican, I found a new home and a new family after Lake Nen. A town or farm, a very peaceful feeling. Now, is this the same feeling? Did you have, Darrican, was your other one peaceful?
No.
Ah, sorry, I didn't make that clear. All of your memories will have the same emotion.
Okay.
Now, you can tweak that if you like, but yeah, it has to have the same emotion. Tulip. Yeah, so your second memory should resonate with the same emotion as your first, so it should make you feel safe. Sorry about that. Tulip. As Tulip entered a small village, he encountered his past commanding officer, which is like an employer, very good, dragging one of the Arwani flowers as his personal slave. Remember, these are worshippers and stuff. Fury flooded his memory. So once again, that's great. You have Fury, another furious memory from Tulip. Wow, I thought Tulip was so peaceful. And a small village, right? So that's great. Again, it might be, if you have village, this might be the same village. So this is an opportunity for you and Tulip to have something in common, because Tulip entered this village and there's a commanding officer, so it's going to be an employer as well. This is, I was cheated by my past employer to stand up for me. Maybe this employer, maybe the same horrible commanding officer you have in common. It might be an opportunity. You don't have to, but it's up to you. I'm going to put that in village.
Maybe it's the kind of person who would, be like a kind of fighter and
yeah,
just
it's an opportunity for you to collaborate and say, yeah, that was the same guy. I hate that guy. Yeah, so that's a great thing.
I don't have a place for mine.
Okay, anybody got one that's complete? We might be running low on time. I think we'll get to it. Yeah, I can help you fill it in.
I don't know.
Again, maximum of 2, of course. If you, once you give me 2, you're done. Okay, Dell. During a trance, I had a vivid dream. I saw goblins destroying an unfamiliar village and woke confused but feeling inspired to do something. Actually, this dream, Dell, this was very much like your dream, this call by your goddess. So you two should talk to each other. You're both getting the same kind of call. The goblins destroying villages, or maybe the forests around the village, is something that's really like in your mind and in your dream. It's great that you've come up with that same thing. Very good. So it's a dream. Goblins is going to go there. So again, if you've got a goblin memory, you might have some things in common here. And is an unfamiliar village. So to Dell, it's unfamiliar. To you, it might be your village, right? So that's another way you can link together. Like, oh, I know what village it was. That happened to my village. Because you're seeing each other's memories. It's like, I know exactly the village you're talking about. Great. So goblins and village. And then we have inspired is your emotion. Very good. Goblins and village. Okay. So this overlaps with Gale. Right? So Gale has a goblin memory in a village, but yours is much more anger. So you have inspiration versus anger, so you have ways to compare your things that way. Okay, I'm just checking my time. Yep, I can work with the place on yours. All right, so thrilled. Once again, your emotion is good there. Created an ice flower. Ooh, right? No, ice forest.
flower.
An ice flower. An ice flower of great beauty, signifying my graduation to a full-fledged wizard. Oh, I can see that. Yeah, it's like some sort of like task that you have to do, like a crafting sort of task. I love that. So yeah, an ice flower. Now again, if you have a flower memory, these things could be related. It could be like this flower was inspired by the worship of your goddess, like maybe the teacher worshipped the same thing, and that's why you were taught this, of great
That could-
beauty.
Yeah.
Could be, yep, so think of that. And great beauty signifying graduation. Well, we can say, do you know where you learned magic? Do you feel like you learned it in a slum, in a forest, or a village? In your past?
I was thinking it was like sort of like a, I forgot what they're called. But like he lives by himself. He's like a.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like a hermit.
That's the word.
Yeah, great. So you could have been like maybe alone in the forest, or.
I originally had it planned in like a mountain.
Yeah. Okay.
But
yeah, maybe a mountain. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Would
Okay.
make sense, but
Yeah.
like a forest would work.
Yeah, that's good. Up in the mountains, there is a forest. This is a forest with black pine trees nearby. You're not supposed to go into the black pine trees. You can see them getting closer every year. So I do have a place in mind for it. A place where you'd be very much alone in the forest in the mountains. Sounds good? So I'll put down black pine to remind me later on. Yeah, these black pine trees are nearby, and that's a concern.
Hold on, write that down.
Yeah, black pine trees. You actually know that the Timberway Valley, the origin of the black pine trees might be in Timberway Valley, which is where you are now. So, forest I underlined, and this is, the flower. Okay. Running low on time, but still very open. Okay, so tulip and dell, you have some double overlaps there as well. So again, these forest and flowers coming up a lot. All right. Another memory of anger from Gale.
All very upset people.
Yes. During an earlier goblin raid, goblins, I was in immediate danger in the forest, in the mountains. Forest in the mountains, might be the same kind of thing. Cornered by goblins, by 2 goblins. Anger welled up in me, and I felt a power. Suddenly shot a shard of ice. Ooh, killing both goblins. Ice, that's a nice combination. This place that you're in, therefore, you learned about ice magic there, and I think this almost certainly might be the same kind of place. So I'm going to write down forest, that's great, and the goblins. Okay, goblin memory in the forest. So same with Darrican, yes, right, sure. A lot of forest memories there. And I would also suggest this is black pine. So this might be near the black pine forest, which is north of Fallcrest, those mountains that you came through. The carriage went through a forest at one point, up high, where it's very cold. It's that forest. You'd be very much alone up there. Okay. Unless somebody's really dying to get one on the board, we're running a little low on time. Okay. All right. Good, that gives us the extra little bit of time that we need to do the next stage, which is quite simple. So first of all, congratulations. That's amazing. Like, this is one of the best sets of memories I've ever gotten out of people. It's great having this many people. There's so much stuff. And this is an opportunity you're never required to. You have autonomy over your backstory, but it's just a little bit more fun, if it doesn't matter much to you, is to tweak and bend your backstory. So as you start copying things down, and you can take your Post-it off if you need to read it more carefully, just put it back in the same general place, because I'm going to take a picture. As you do that, you might talk with each other and say, like, hey, is it okay with you if we have this in common? Can you change your memory a little bit, or I'll change mine? You have to find compromises. So you don't have to write all this stuff down for yourself and others, but this is your opportunity. You have a few minutes to write things down, notes of your memories, and maybe links that you have with other characters. And I will continue that work in between sessions. And then we'll figure out how much your shards glow because of all your hard work here. If you want to take your Post-it with you, because you just rather not do the work, I'll just make sure I take a picture of it first. Though I'd rather have the Post-its so that way.
I was just about to say I'm going to take a photo of it all.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, go ahead and take your own picture, a photo of your own Post-it. Feel free. Yeah. So discuss, sharpen. I might come up with some ideas too. Tell us about the ROI flowers, because that's something that you have so many memories that involve the forest and flowers. And you're one of the people who have that really nice description of your religion.
Oh, so because they're a nature, it's particularly a nature goddess, he encountered essentially a bunch of beautiful women.
Right on.
Philip encountered a bunch of beautiful women and then was inspired to join them when he discovered their nature religion, and they kind of roamed around like hippies, preaching their message of fertility and love and nature and all that kind of stuff. And they call themselves the ROI flowers because they named themselves after different flowers that they encountered.
Okay, great.
And so tulips was tulip.
Ah, got it. Sure. Yep. Makes sense.
But obviously they all got captured and sold to slave traders.
Yeah, great, great. Okay, that's so rich. Wow. Having actually a couple opportunities. So when I hear slave traders, I think of the Reds. So you've already explored the Red Dungeon. You got some idea of like they're known as to be slavers and capturers, doing all sort of those nasty things. So this is a way to sort of stick you into the world in a certain way. Like you might be learning here, it's like, oh, it was the Reds. They were wearing red. They had the tattoos. They had the insignia. They're the ones. If you don't mind putting in that detail, this kind of will come to you later on and say, hey, let's lock that in. Like let's say the Reds you captured some of the ROI flowers. And those of you who have forest and flower can think of ways to relate this as well.
Maybe you could go back later and find documents on where they're all kept or something.
Exactly, exactly. So as a DM, I pick this up. It's like, oh, I'm going to put in hooks, and as you get deeper in, there's things where you actually these things from your past you might find ways to forward. Good. So there's a great combination. Again, the other two that have forest flower things. That's a great opportunity to see how you link up there. What's another totally different place here? Slum. So this is great for Fallcrest. There's a fortune teller who showed illusions, and you were working in Fallcrest in one of the slums there, so that makes sense. I just want to give you a picture of what Fallcrest is like. That's where he might have started off. So that sounds like a story that starts there. So a good combination there. The magic, the one sort of teaching magic, or like these people who know magic. You've got this fortune teller, and you've got the mentor. Good. Okay, we'll have to move on pretty soon, but this is another chance to sort of do what I did there. Say, oh, I see some things in common. Let's agree on that kind of thing. So go ahead and maybe have another conversation with anybody around you that you've got something in common, and see if you can come up with ideas.
What was your former employer? What was he?
I can imagine he was, because yours was a fighting commander, right? Like it was an army one. I could really add a bit in there because she grew up by herself as an orphan in the slums of Fallcrest. So she's quite, feisty and snarky and hates everyone. So I could see her becoming someone who beat people up for money in early teenagers. So maybe his official job was with you, but on the side he ran this little corrupt little side business of getting teenagers to beat up people.
Yeah.
And so same kind of guy, but different kind of connection there.
Oh yeah, because he'd obviously he'd have combat skills, so he's just using it in a different way.
Yeah, so he could a little side hustle of getting extra money in a blackmailing business or something.
Good, great. That's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. Good stuff. Good stuff. The other thing, as I say, if you come early, you can do investigations, by spending those session stamps. You can do some one-on-one work. The reason I do is one-on-one is that, especially with this large of a table, let's face it, we're interested in each other's backstories, but you're most interested in your own backstory. So sometimes it's good to do real backstory, personal stuff, more on a one-on-one or small group thing. If you do that, then you say, hey, I want to develop this, and not only do you do it, we can have, you can find out some more mysteries. I might have linked it to something like the Reds, so you can come in early and say, I'm going to delve into that memory, and maybe you'll learn something about the Reds by rolling well and spending that stamp. So you'll build up a memory that can be used immediately in game.
How old is your character?
He was
82.
Maybe he came to the city for a day with his dad or something.
That was
He came to the
that was
city
a
to
big
visit
bit of
and
info. Just
and he ended up
Mine's
everything.
Rarix
And,
tulip
Let's see.
is 106, so maybe it'd be a 20 year, maybe there was a 20-year gap
Yeah, we had
between
an
when
When your hippies went through and because it's definitely the same kind of forest where it's the celebration of fertility and that kind of thing. That's
Hundreds of
definitely
years,
what
elves lived
Del
hundreds
was
of years, I'm
inspired
sure
by
very slowly.
with the bees. So.
Dwarves live a few hundred years, elves live
Yeah.
many hundreds of years. They
Yeah.
technically don't die a whole day. They kind of become so esoteric, they separate from the world in that sort of Tolkien, Lord of the Rings sort of way, but they don't really get infirm and die like other creatures. They also don't sleep. They're interesting creatures.
my character, when he was drinking the vintage wine,
Uh-huh.
had a vision
Yep.
that where his goddess came to him in a vision and just went furious, and then it's
Okay.
like a fury with platinum white hair and
Wow.
eyes that were just glowing and demanding vengeance against the goblins that are destroying their lands.
Yeah, so it really layers into the whole goblin call to action, and it might also relate to the ROI flowers, which might relate to your memories. There's great stuff happening.
Yeah.
So you went to the slums of Fallcrest?
There's some notes there. All right. So on your sheet now, write down next to your Chaos Shard necklace. You have a ripenable Chaos Shard. Now write down glowing a color pick whatever color you like, with whatever your emotion is. So you say with your emotion being fury, so you might say red with fury, but it could be purple with fury. It's your color, right? It's just this is a color that you associate with that emotion, and that's the color that your shard is glowing. And as you came up with
associate with the emotion.
with that emotion, with that particular emotion, just pick a color, and it glows that color. And when you think of a memory with, or you have an experience with that emotion, it glows a little bit brighter. So you're going to remember this emotion is going to come up again and again, and you're going to want to look out for opportunities. Say like, here's a time when while we're playing, you might say, here's a time when my character really felt this emotion, or you get yourself in position to feel that emotion, because that will eventually make your shard glow even more.
I'm glad I picked an emotion that sort of fits with my character theme.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, red's
So you might say glowing green with envy, or glowing red with fear, or whatever.
Red actually works
I'm gonna
if
go
the
dark
Cycladers were
purple,
red.
vengeful.
Very good. That could be a good match. Great. Yeah, exactly.
Dark
It could be a metallic color. It's like it's this, and this shard is definitely like emitting light of this color. And it's kind of fascinating. Like when you look at it, it's like, ooh, you step away from these mushrooms a little bit. It's like these memories are still very intense, but then you feel like that emotion is sort of now pulsing with that shard, and now you really feel like this shard has this kind of conscience. It seems like sympathetic. It's almost like having a friend that you've really had a real heart-to-heart to about that emotion. Like you feel like it's sharing that emotion in a way. It's feeling that emotion along with you, but it doesn't seem to have a rational sort of language. It's just like a pure emotional sort of intelligence in a way, a pure emotional being hanging around your neck. So yeah, so use now just on there, say glowing something with emotion. Like everything else in my game, as a game designer, I put numbers on everything. So how much does it glow is based on this. All right. So for each of your memories, if you have a memory that is in the same column as one other person's memory, so if you have a memory on the board, it's worth 1 point. That's fine. All of you have at least 1 point. If you have a memory that has a column in common with somebody else, you have another point, right? And if you have a memory that has a row in common with somebody, that's another point. So you can have anywhere from 1 to 3 points. And probably all of you have got 3 points. You did such a good job keeping things together. People who scatter this thing out, people might have only 1 or 2 points if they really have their own thing. So you might, I assume, is there anybody here who says like, oh no, I don't see how I have 3 points?
It's 2.
Yep, I was right, because that's 2. That's fine though. If you have 2 memories, do you have another memory there, Archie? Did you put another one on the
I
board?
was in the process of writing one and then stopped. So
Oh, you're good.
but it was to do with the slums.
Oh, okay,
I hadn't
interesting.
quite finished it.
Yeah. So
So you
if
had
I put
that
slum here, yeah, okay, good.
Would be there.
Yeah, let's do that. Yep, slums. Parents found him and made him feel extra cared for and safe. That's great. While visiting the city, got lost in the slums. Yeah, parents found him. Ah, interesting. So parents would be something here. Is there one of these things? You got
Are your
lost and you were
parents
found, and you felt cared for.
Yeah,
and
my
safe.
parents are farmers. It's a
Yeah.
different farmer, but hey,
Sure.
let's go with
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's great. Yeah.
What's your age compared to mine?
it. It's 39 or something
39.
like that.
I was gonna say, because if you got lost in the slums as a kid as well, if we were the same age, could have like, I don't know, played as kids or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
She could've
yeah,
tried
I'm
to, like,
17 and here's
Yeah.
What's that?
Bit older.
She could have tried to monkey.
That's right.
That's great. Okay, so
Okay,
for
there we go.
you two,
Not
yeah.
much.
So anybody else got questions about that? You got 3. So just write down 3 in parentheses after your glow. That's how strong the glow is. It glowed a little bit, and that was 1, and then you got more memories and shared them, and now they glowed 2, and then you found another memory that shared with somebody else and made it glow even more, because they're all resonating with each other. So as Dak said, the more you make it glow, the more money you get to steal in the steal deal, and also more power, stronger. Put in visor, makes really strong, makes strong, crazy party time, he says. All right. Got that. Yep, you got that.
Am I able to take a small mushroom or a handful of mushrooms?
Oh,
Just
probably
for-
keep things moving here, right? But I always like to have a memento. You can try. Who's going to be the first one to cut one of these mushrooms?
Definitely me.
Okay.
Definitely me.
Now-
Stand back and watch.
This is
what
something where I actually,
Nothing happens?
as a DM, I don't actually know, how bad it is to cut down one of these mushrooms. Nobody's done it before. But I don't want to it must be bad. Zap, you're punished. So I'm going to let the dice secretly decide. I might roll something where, if I roll something in the middle, it'll seem like nothing, but it'll actually be bad but secret. If it's really high, it'll be obviously bad. So I'll sort of see. The higher it is.
If there's nothing, you know it's something secretly bad.
Yeah. You do get a mushroom. However, all of you notice that the mushroom itself well, as long as he's carrying, he's got kind of a bitter smell about him. It might be the mushroom itself, but yeah, it's you don't really notice about yourself. Who here is the type of character that would say like, May, you smell kind of weird? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so May comes up and says, you know that mushroom smells really weird, and you're like, no, it doesn't. You know, you have no idea.
Yes, it
However,
does.
other than that, just say. It does stop glowing, however. It stops glowing and shrivels. However, you know, still could be potent for something, but it does quickly shrivel and stop glowing. It's not a source of light. You could later on investigate it, right? So when you have, say, make a move and you're investigating your items, that could be an item that you'll learn more about.
We're just going to avoid you now. To bathe.
I'm committing to what that means now. I've decided based on what I rolled.
Philip's just pulling up his holy symbol.
Yeah.
Just behind it.
Now you do this.
Okay. Cool.
And we're just getting a
All
little
right.
wide berth now.
More
Okay.
than we already were.
Before it was like, this guy's kind of creepy, but okay, he's a good fighter. We'll deal with it. Now it's like,
There we
he's
go.
kinda creepy and he smells horrible.
Go to the next slide there, Liam, anytime. We're moving on to another scene. I'm going to give you some XP, however. You earn XP when not fighting. This had no combat whatsoever, but you still get to earn XP. That's just the way we roll here in D&D. Now, it's not going to be as much as if you had an equivalent amount of time spent fighting. And the reason for that is not because I love fighting, want to encourage you to be violent. It's that XP is higher when you fight things because you have the chance of dying when you fight things. And when you die, you will lose XP. You get knocked down to just the XP for the beginning of your level. Or if you're almost there, maybe halfway down. So there's a pretty big penalty for dying. And not just going unconscious and being revived. I mean like dead dying. You get to start a new character, but you start with, you have more experience before you level up again. So the higher the risk, the higher the danger, the more chance of dying, I give you more XP, or D&D gives you more XP to make up for that. So that's why. So there was no chance of dying, though there was a chance of having a bad trip. You don't have a bad trip. Or getting smelly.
I don't know what you guys are talking about, okay?
So all of you
Yeah,
write
just
down
jump in the
50
river.
XP. So that is what an easy encounter in the DMG, an easy encounter, or half of a medium danger encounter, is 50 XP. Write that down. As you see, and when you get enough XP, you'll be level 3, but you should stay level 2 for a while, because the levels, each as you see, add on new things, and we very much want you to get very comfortable with level 2 before
What
you go
level
into
is
level
level
3.
3?
Level 3 might be 900?
Oh, I'm 200 off then. I think most of
What?
200 off.
Yeah, we're 700.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seven.
we're at 700.
You're getting there, all right. Yeah, you've done some really good stuff.
We got a lot last week.
Last
Okay.
week, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's
350,
quite a fight.
yeah.
Yeah, I gave you a
Because
very...
we all nearly died.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You had a rough fight. Yeah, and then your chance of dying was quite high on that one.
That's my fault for trying.
You missed out.
So there's still some in the bag if you want.
I think it should be a penalty. You don't get to drink any more of it. It's ours now.
You also, as you sort of clear your head and your eyes have gotten used to the light, you see that lying on the outer edge of these mushrooms. First of all, they're in a really kind of feckin' kind of soil, but it's kind of like an organic kind of soil or sludge that they're growing out of. And you see, like, there's a glint of silver there. Now, none of you feel like traipsing into the mushrooms. They're like, ooh, I'm going to find all the silver, because just getting close to the mushrooms, like, whoa, man, I'm feeling really weird. Like, again, your heart rate goes way up, and you think you're going to pop if you get amongst the mushrooms. But you can kind of like reach and not touch the mushrooms, because you're not sure about what Murr did, but you think touching the mushrooms might not be a good idea, and we saw that smell. But you pull out, each of you, by splitting this up, you have a piece of silver jewelry. And the jewelry is very fine and culturally evocative. Those of you who have a history, if you're trained in history, so if your skill list has a dot next to history, go ahead and roll history. Again, for those of you at home, roll a d20 and add your history bonus. With a group this large, I usually have only people who are
21.
proficient roll something, because otherwise somebody's
21
going to
as well.
reply.
21?
21, okay. Both of you
I
recognize...
think you do too, don't you? 'Cause it's a
No, I
plus.
changed when I did the character from history to acrobatics or something.
Oh.
So
I changed
now
my
it
animal
does.
handling to that.
So you recognize it makes sense for you because of your background. You should think of a way why you learned this so clearly. This is clearly of elven make, and it is of a heavily fey origin. I'd say the 21, that's high enough. You actually know that this was made and worn in the Feywild, which is an alternate dimension that that elves supposedly come from and want to go back to. Elves always going on about the Feywild. Why can't we be back in the Feywild? High elves especially. There's even a race from another book called Eladrin, which are very much Fey, like they grew up in the Feywild. So elves know all about it. Wood elves tend to be more acclimated to the material world, but any sort of elf would do that. But you know, the Feywild is pretty well known. It's another dimension, but it's one of the more well-known things that yes, you can find yourself in the Feywild. And it's not healthy necessarily to be the Feywild. It's full of dangerous creatures, or just exuberant creatures, or you can kind of get kind of manic and you can kind of lose your head in the Feywild. You know, it's sort of like drunken sort of wildness kind of take you over. Very extreme emotions in the Feywild. So yeah, there's these amongst this sludge the mushrooms are growing in. You pull out, you know, a necklace, a ring. So just write down whether it's a necklace or a ring, whatever it is. You know, feel free to write that down. Again, by default, I assume that you're wearing it because I want to, you know, I might look at your sheets. But if you say just in pocket, just say you don't wear it.
Did we meet some angry dryads or something that mentioned the Feywild?
Oh, so you can share some things there. Yep, could be. Could be. There could be some that maybe you've heard of the Feywild before. So that is loot. When you write down that silver thing, again, you can specify what kind of silver it is, and write down 8 SP. 8 silver pieces you could sell it for. However, now you could just sell for 8 to anybody. The kobolds will buy it for you for 8, no problem, because it's pretty. But if you find somebody who's really a motivated buyer, like you find someone like, oh, you specialize in Fey jewelry, or you're very well known with the elves, they might pay extra for it. So you might want to have an opportunity like, oh, you know, I'm going to make a move by trying to find the best possible buyer. We're in town, and I'm going to look around for somebody who wants to buy this thing you might sell for double or triple that price. Or just keep it. It's pretty. None of it is magical. It is a ring and a necklace, but in case you're wondering, not magical. Just very pretty. Okay. So, yes, we're on to the third scene, and then we'll be taking a break pretty soon. All right. You, in a word, scamper back to the kobold area, because now you've got glowing shards. That's what Jop Jop asked you to get, so you can get through the silver crack. Again, you know, you spent maybe a couple hours in there tripping out with the mushrooms, so it's actually quite dim, like the sun has gone down, but that's kind of nice, because, you know, if you have dark vision, you can see very well. Even if you don't have dark vision because you're a human or a halfling, you can see well enough to get around, and things have a harder time seeing you. So you get back to the Kobold Cave. And you, having been told this was important, is you look at the silver crack, like BB is there, but he's very busy. He's in a discussion, and he like looks over, he's like, he like thumbs up. He's very excited to see the thing. He's like, oh, bright, so bright. Oh, so good. Wow, you great. You great at this. Yeah. Okay. Go see Jop Jop. And he gets back to his work. Like, go see Jop Jop. The crack is still the same. But you know, as you did last time, some of you get closer. And now, you know, again to forward. Well, this will matter on the order in which you go through. So whoever wants to be the first one primary, either volunteer or roll for it. On who wants to be the very first one.
Anyone else want to roll for it?
I'm always wanting to be first for this sort of thing.
First through, oh yeah, let's send the wizard through the crack first. That's good. Thank you. You can re-roll. You get to go
17.
first.
Ooh.
You can use a d20.
Oh, I can re-roll.
Yeah, you can re-roll. That's fine. No.
Huh? Oh, at D20?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this will be the first one to go through the crack.
Ooh.
17.
I got 17 too.
Oh,
You can roll off.
okay.
And if you have a little,
5.
19.
There we go.
okay.
The only rogue going through.
So yeah, if you have a chip, who won?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have a chip, give it over here because I'll start setting up a marching order.
Is it, give it to me because you're dead now.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So,
Fine, I'll go second.
well, you rolled second high. So what do you roll?
Would you like to go second?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I'll go second.
Yeah.
You want to go second?
That was me.
You want to go third?
Third.
Okay. You have a chip?
That's watching.
Okay, we'll do the rest maybe after the break or so, but I want to at least know the first 3. Going through, or up to the crack. How do you know you're going to go through the crack? You shouldn't expect that. Yeah, you get through the crack. This is how it happens. You are in the front and you're clustered behind. You get close, and again, maybe as you felt before, you feel this ear popping sensation. As you get closer, the crack is like getting wider. Everybody else, as you see, he is getting thinner. Like he's just like an optical illusion or something really weird. Like he's got the same depth, but he's just becoming thinner the closer that he gets. And to the point that by the time he gets close to it, his body starts to this sort of flat version of him starts to bend into the same shape as the silver crack, the same shape that walnut-sized chaos shard over has. And as you get close, and you definitely feel like your shard is resonating with that thing, and the shard is kind of influencing you. And even though it looks pretty normal to you, to everybody else, the closer these people are to the crack, they start to fold and bend. All of you have glowing shards. You can do this separately. But one thing, who is not wearing their glowing shard? Because they say, well, how do I get through? And it's okay if you're not wearing glowing shard, say so. Anybody not wearing theirs? You're all shard buddies. Okay. So each of you can do that, and that means that as you're moving through this, you're squeezing through, like, you become thin, and the crack is very thin, but you're able to move deeper in this conga line of flat people kind of going through. And this doesn't surprise Dak at all. This is basically, he's like, yeah, okay, that's good, yeah, okay. See, chop, hurry, Noel's coming. You didn't spend a few hours, I misspoke. I mean, the Knolls were coming in a few hours. You spent maybe a couple hours, but so like, okay, get in there. So, in through the silver crack you finally go, in a single file line, and one by one, you emerge into a room. I'm going to describe this, we'll set the scene here, and then we'll be taking a little bit of a break. All right. Okay. This is a big round room. It's like a natural cave, but the walls are almost completely covered with drawings and paintings. It smells very nice in here. Like, it smells like incense and sort of like herbs and smoke. It's quite smoky in here as well. The ceiling has got these holes, and the ceiling is not so pretty. Like, it's up there. There are these holes that are kind of irregular, kind of like natural cave openings, but they're kind of like wet looking in sort of a strange way. So that you're checking out exits, dangers. There's a door opposite, or you think it's a door. It's a big round disc of metal, about as tall as a person. And you can tell there's probably a door because there's like a track that you think, oh, this probably can roll sideways, and there might be something behind it because it's up against the far wall.
Like a vault build.
Yeah, like a vault thing, but yeah, it's maybe a simple mechanical thing. But you're just checking all this out, and maybe all of you come into the room by the time this happens, because there's nothing that immediately happens. There's no immediate opportunity when you come in. Going in first does give you that opportunity, but in this case, you kind of can spread around. This room looks like a party palace, man. It has got lots of soft chairs and lounges around, and there are clothes everywhere. Clothes that are like costumes, basically. Some very fashionable, very different from each other. There's costumes actually you're playing a role, like you want to dress up and like be in a play kind of costume. Some are just extremely nice clothes. Clothes of both sort of masculine and feminine sort of vibe. All different sizes, and all kobold sized. There are some that are kobold sized, halfling sized, and also there are some that are more humanoid sized or medium sized. There also are a lot of ashtrays, bottles, and glasses. It's pretty messy, like people have been doing a lot of partying and drinking and smoking here, and there's some stuff left over. You're all taking this in a moment, but you said like, oh, there's a few things I might be able to get. Like if you like alcohol, if you like drugs or something, there's probably little bits of things around. You see like pipes and bongs around, that still has some things in them. And oh, that smell in the air, I know what that is. There's nice ventilation here because there's holes in the ceiling, but you sort of recognize that. You look around, and again, on the walls are all kinds of schematic drawings. Imagine like Leonardo da Vinci had these drawings of like these contraptions and things. And they have handwriting, and they all have similar handwriting. Though there's also paintings and pictures of just great machines, like pictures of like the inside of what a farm plow looks like, what a toaster, what a magical toaster looks like, a pump. So sort of schematics of different things. They're just nice paintings of important looking machines. But they're also alternated with what look like blueprints, done all by the same person in the same hand. It seem to be plans that are referring to assembling machines. These plans are ways to sort of put metal pieces together to form different things. And most of these things have like legs and arms. You recognize a couple that are mechs. They're like a different kind of design of the mech that you saw. So it seems like an alternate version of that. There's some that seem to be small and multi-legged and all kinds of stuff like that. So you're seeing all that, and there's no apparent exit from the room, and there's no apparent sign of Jop Jop. But if this is Jop Jop's place, well, Jop Jop knows how to party. That's the first thing that you can get a feel for. That is just a few seconds that you've come in, and Jop Jop must have known you're coming because that metal disc rolls aside. It really gleams this really cool way. It's got like a kind of rainbow colors, like iridescent. It's like a bunch of metals that all been swirled together randomly all over it, and like discs of rock. And the rock have like sort of rainbow striated patterns. It's very colorful. It kind of fills the room with a bit of like that disco light. There's a dim light that sort of happens here, maybe a magical kind of light that's sort of filling in this room. But it's sort of at party level. It's not harsh and bright. It's sort of nice that way. And that thing rolls aside. As that rolls aside, it reveals a round passage about 5 feet wide, and smoke billows out of it. But this smoke is like almost just a stronger version of what you're already sort of smelling in here. And it's like, whoa, you know, those of you here, for those of the three of you in front, I invite you just to role play. It's like if you're probably closest to the door, you're like, whoa, okay, you know, like you kind of get a head full of that. And there is a figure emerging from the smoke. First, you notice that it has wings, and it is short like a kobold. Like BB, a winged kobold emerges, but she looks considerably different. First of all, she's wearing a beautiful, stylish black velvet gown. She's got fairly pale skin, but she's got extremely heavy eyeliner, which is a little hard to see because she's got a badly burned or a richly burned rectangle over her eyes, sort of like you know, burned and healed many times, a neat little rectangle, the type you've seen before. She's got lipstick. She's got vivid makeup. And she's got these long fingernails, and those of you in front realize, like, those aren't fingernails. Like, as you can sort of see, she's still halfway in the smoke, but it seems like her fingers are sort of elongated and pointed. And as you look close, it's like you feel like you see like knuckles and bone. They're black, like they're charred. Like she's got sharp black fingertips, like something hot has just sort of stripped off the skin and some of the bone and sort of narrowed it down to a point as she looks at it.
Is it her fingertips?
It's
or
her
just
fingertips, yeah.
She's like
And-
got someone's fingers and put them on his nails.
Who knows? But it looks real to you. As she approaches, and in the smoke, she calls to your attention with the following. She sings, "Oh Lord, won't you bring me a nice glowing shard? I can take 'em and make 'em, but that gets so hard. Work long on my lonesome, my fingers get charred. So Lord, won't you bring me a nice glowing shard?" And she snaps with her arm, a fast motion of her arm, as you see something come at you. She has a silver visor around her neck, by the way. She has scanned you while she's singing to each of you, and she's kind of like checking you all out, and undoubtedly sort of sexy sort of look, like she's giving each of you a really good look as she's singing to each of you to see who's into it. And she with that last cackle after she sings, she licks her lips and she looks around. She winks at one person who here has the highest charisma bonus and identifies. Wait.
Not me.
Not me either, thank goodness.
I got -1.
And identifies
I've
as a
got
she.
-1 too.
Who is a she and who has the highest charisma bonus?
We have 1.
We've got.
I think
A she
we're
or a
the only
they?
We're the only she's.
And we've both got -1.
That's fine. So you both got -1. All right. Still, you know, maybe it's the fact that you're adventurers that makes you. So each of you roll a charisma roll.
This is not the roll I want to get.
Yeah, that's right.
I've got-
Just by
I
luck.
got 13.
9.
Okay. She winks at you, and as she lashes out, you're the only one who isn't in danger, it turned out. All right. All of you that are wearing glowing shards, which are all of you roll a charisma save. So it's a saving throw with the little box. It's not just, most people don't have it trained, so it's probably the same as your charisma bonus. But remember to look in the little box for saving throws. Charisma save. And who has the lowest? Compare to each other. Call out if you got something low. Who's got the
Maybe
lowest?
someone should sing
I
to
got
her.
6.
I got 4.
Natural 20.
4.
14.
We got 6.
4.
Oh, you're wrong.
Anybody got 4 or lower?
What'd you get, Beth?
I got 14. Sorry.
I got 14.
You're the one she likes the least, that she's least interested in. So she whips this thing at you.
Am I really losing?
So
Maybe.
it's like this long chain that she sort of pulls out, and she snaps it towards you and cracks like a whip, and says, "Thank you!" And this little claw like grabs onto your shard and pulls, and it pops off of your neck. But with damage, you take a 1 hit point of damage because something cuts the back of your neck. Ah! And it pops off, and now it retracts and comes back into her hand. She now has your shard. What's the emotion? Pride. She looks at it. It's like, ooh, that's strong. And she takes off the visor that she's got, and she puts it into the visor, and you hear this little click, and she slaps this visor onto her head. There is, the visor makes a sizzling sound, like, and like a very bright light is inside this thing. It's fitted to her face, but even so, the light that leaks out is enough to be kind of hard to look at. You realize, like, that's the same thing that happened, well, that sort of sparking, the thing that happened up in the nest with BB, like the source of the power in BB's nest, it reminds you of the same sort of color and noise when that thing sort of popped off. So smoke starts to rise from behind the visor as obviously her skin's being burned by this intense light. And there is a high screaming sound, a very high-pitched scream. Ah! And it's not coming from her mouth. Her mouth is closed. But the scream is coming from that direction. She does that for a few seconds, then she's just going like this, just like BB said, it's like, oh yeah, zaps like that. So it makes this crackling sound. She snaps her head forward, the visor comes off, it hangs on a chain around her neck, and she looks up and her eyes are glowing that color. What color is it? Yeah, so her eyes are glowing the same color yellow that your shard was. And her skin now looks very freshly burned, it's like red and blistery, and you can just sort of smell like burning flesh as this happens. She's like, oh, I see it now. Pride, yeah, that's what my machines need to help them dig. Yeah, dig it. I can dig it. Who can dig it? And she, from behind her, because the smoke is sort of obscured things, she pulls out like, oh, you little guy, and she puts down this little bot. It's made of machine parts that you recognize, but it's sort of small and it's got multiple legs, a bit like insect-like. It's got a box on the inside, or sort of like a lump that's kind of a grayish crystal with bronze cage over it. Other than that, it looks sort of mechanical in nature with gears and things like that. And so and you can see, like it's been made of the spare parts. She looks at that sort of thing and she reaches up over her head and she does this with her fingers, then stretches. Once she stretches, it's like she's tearing apart a fabric of some sort. The fabric of reality. Because inside this tear, there's another space. It has a different dimensionality, like you're looking through a little window, and as it gets wider, about this wide, you can sort of see and hear what's inside. It kind of sounds and looks a bit like a bunch of black rocks in a tumble dryer, like a clothes dryer. Just this constant landslide clacking noise, very loud, and it's sort of like a hollow space you're seeing into with a lot of these rocks all sort of tumbling around. And once she pulls it open, she's facing towards the bot. She's kind of ignoring all of you, and some of the black rocks start tumbling out and sort of like head towards the bot. As they tumble out, you see she's concentrating, and the shards, these rocks, all turn into that same color. They glow that same yellow of pride. And so it kind of turns into this energy beam. By the time it reaches the energy, the bot, these rocks have turned into pure energy of that color, and it hits the bot, and it glows. That box, the gray crystal, glows that same color. So now it's glowing. Her eyes are glowing. It's glowing, So as it does so, it twitches and it starts to move. And it starts to move around the area. It turns around and skitters on its legs back into the place where she just came from. And she's like, yeah, baby, yeah, feel that pride, yeah. You'll be proud when you find the shards. You'll be proud when you do a good job, baby, yeah. Feel that pride come in. She starts walking back into the smoke. You see the glow of the bot, that color, and you see her fade into it. Pretty soon it's very indistinct, like an indistinct glow. But you hear her voice echoing. There's some room beyond. She's just talking about how great it had to feel that, sweetie, feel that pride as it starts to move around. That rift that she had, it kind of stayed where she was. She turned around and moved, and the rift was slowly shrinking. And a couple like random rocks, they bounce and sort of disappear and bounce and disappear. And there's like something fills the rift. It is, the rift is sort of covered by smoke. There's some sort of mass that also there's a muffled sound, like something's filling the rift. And all you can see is this shape, very indistinct. It kind of oozes out of the rift and plops down on the ground. And it sort of rears up and has a vaguely humanoid shape. And there's a terrible smell. Like the wonderful smell that you had of all the smoke and everything is overpowered by just a sort of body odor, acid stench that immediately starts rolling out. All right. I will show you a picture when you get close enough. This smoke is such that you have to be next to something to see it clearly. It's lightly obscured if it's right next to you. If you're looking through more than 2 squares of smoke, it's completely obscured and invisible to you. So we'll queue up that picture. Don't show it yet. Don't show it yet. We'll show it after the break because one of you will have to see it. After the break, one of you is going to want to take this on because, man, you know, if you're going to find out with Jop and something weird's happening, I think adventurers would go the hell in there and find out what's happening. But in that doorway, that you have to get past whatever this thing is, and one of you will be the one that will go up front and start engaging with it to see what it is.
Shields. One of us.
Take a break. 5 minutes.
Shields.
Slide.
But yes, can I get someone's
Anyone
bow
in particular you
or
want to be
ranged
behind
weapon?
that lot?
I'll give you a bullberry.
If you're going to move things around, you'll do that in combat rounds, and it takes it takes an object interaction. So you do remember that and work out who you're going to deal with, but don't need to actually take an action.
No,
Or
no,
a
no,
minor
okay,
action.
okay. I'll be useless, that's fine.
I'm taking my distance.
No one has the short bow? Or like
I can use the
Pretty
one.
soon.
You can?
I'll go
Okay. Well,
Elf, hey!
what weapon are you probably going to use to
Oh, I thought I would get up close.
Everybody, please put a
My
chip
sword and
on
shield.
on there. If you don't have a chip, let me know. I'll give you a loaner.
I don't care.
Okay.
What do you think about giving
Where did we enter from and where's the door?
And remember, if you donate $5, you get a chip, and you keep the chips in the folder. I just made something that makes that
Okay.
useful.
Put me back over to the side.
Is it meant to be in the circle or?
Like here?
No, anywhere behind
Oh,
the
we're
heading
lines.
this
Just
way.
pick a square somewhere on there.
The yellow thing
Oh,
is
you're number
already.
one? Because you'll be one around the. So you're the
Yeah.
number one. Who else needs a chip?
I'll need one.
Okay, what's 4, 5, 6? You're number 6.
Okay, so
6 where the hole goes on top.
Should
So
we
go and
roll
position
before we
yourself. You can
decide what
pull
kind
this
of plan
towards
we're
you. If you
gonna
ever
go
pull it
for,
towards
or-
you, just slide it back into position.
Oh,
after
it'll
you're
be like
done.
I'm taking
Who else
turns,
does not have a
though,
chip?
won't it? But we'll see.
Everybody else, yeah, you put yourself, should have 8 things there.
I
Yep,
think
I've
in
got
normal
8
D&D
things.
you can like
Yeah, and just,
you
yeah, you
like that,
commit to
just-
one
Well,
square. Yeah, you've all got 2
cleric
squares.
who's
Traditionally,
one of
right
the
now, it
tankiest
might be like
characters.
we
Yeah.
can't
Up to
do
that.
2 things
It's still
together.
like
I think,
together.
yeah.
I'll, jump
We'll see
on
if
it.
we can. I'll like give
All
us
right.
attention, take its fire.
Got the
whatever,
slide.
And I'll
Got
open the doors at
that.
the same time.
Here we go.
This should get me closer to look at it.
So to remind you, so Jop is back in that chamber, as I said. You can see the glow of the bot, and she's cooing at it. She's talking to it. The tail's moving around. You hear its mechanical legs going, but you can't place it. Over the next round or two that happens, as she goes, there's still that clackety sound. There's another bolt of that sort of energy comes out, that glow, like what she did with the rift. She's doing again. You see that glow, and you hear like another like filling up sort of vacuum sound, another plop sound. So as she's back there, round by round, more of whatever's here in front of you, more things are plopping to the ground back there over time as she's doing this stuff with her eyes glowing to the bot. You are here. That's a 5-foot passage. We've got that. All right. So just as sure that you're moving into position. So this smoke has been rolling out, obscuring things. Then there's this like sort of rushing, sort of wet sort of sound. This all gets a little larger, and now it's got a green cast and a terrible smell. Now this fog has gotten larger, but instead of being like smoke and sort of nice and aromatic, or it was aromatic until this thing showed up, now it's like it's mostly this thick green sort of stench. You're not in it in this front row, but the squares, it basically fills its squares up ahead of it. So that's something that might be a factor. You can't see through it again. So now this thing is not even a dim shape. Like you just simply can't see it. You can only just hear it breathing as it's there. Yep. Smoke fills. Got that. Yep. Got that. Yeah. Now, a little note on this, because we're teaching different things as we go. So this is another big, crunchy, by-the-book combat. So just like the last combat, we're using actual D&D rules. The only thing I'm going to change is initiative. I think it's still easier, and I don't have your names all on my computer, to do around-the-table initiative, which is essentially random, but it's an approximation for that. So we will get to actual initiative once the table gets a bit smaller. But other than that, it's totally good combat, and the initiative doesn't matter. So it's basically really by-the-book combat. It'll teach a few tactics that might be interesting. Each combat that we go through in these first few sessions, each exercise different things and introduce different things. So this is combat versus obscured enemies. You're obviously going to be fighting these things in smoke and fog, and they're blocking a goal. So penetrating through. You're trying to get somewhere during this combat. If you're trying to get to Jop, I mean, you're realizing like, well, these things are bad. Spoiler alert, these things are pretty bad. And the fact that she's making more of them is probably something you want to stop, but you can't reach her. So getting to maybe stop, to like shake her out of it or kill her or do something to stop this from happening might be your goal, but there's still some mystery to that. Melee attackers will have a good chance to shine, whereas the last one had a lot of distance attacks. This is going to have a lot of upfront attacks that you'll notice. And also, we'll teach about areas of effect. So if you start in the fog, try to remind me that you're starting in the fog, because I'm a scatterbrained, I can forget. But if you're in the fog, we all try to help each other tell a good collaborative story here. So even though it's to your disadvantage, do try to remember when something's affecting you. It's just more fun when we all use the rules, even if your DM forgets them. We'll do initiative soon. And I guess we'll do initiative now if I said everything I need to say. So everybody roll a d20 and add your dexterity bonus. That's what you do for initiative. And compare with each other who's got the highest and second
7.
highest.
22.
Work that out amongst yourselves. Who's highest?
23.
23.
Oh,
23.
23.
18.
Want me to show the monster?
not yet. Somebody's got to get up face to face with it. I know. Get it ready.
So really what
Who's got the highest
we're doing
initiative?
We've got 23 each.
Oh, you got
Woo!
natural 20s.
Okay, 23 each. Who's got the second highest?
Me.
Okay, so why don't we start with you and go around this way?
What was
Okay,
yours?
that's probably
How much
22.
is yours?
22,
Oh, yeah.
23, 23, 22. So I think it'd be most fair to
Yep.
start with you and go clockwise from you. And then when it gets to me, then it's my turn.
Guess you're looking
Well,
up without me?
maybe it's my turn. I'm not always going to give away where the monsters give. Sometimes the monsters have a different initiative, so we'll see. All right, so you realize, okay, it's on. After that long plot-inducing speech and all that stuff happening, your neck's still bleeding, you all wearing your glowing shards. If you've got a glowing shard for fear or disgust or excitement, maybe this is the moment that you'll remember tomorrow that might make it glow a little bit more. You are ready for combat. So we're going to start with Darrican. And sometimes I'll say you. If in the heat of things I forget your character name, I just might say you.
Well,
What
I'm
do
gonna
you do?
approach the fog. I'm thinking if I could possibly disengage or sneak and go through the fog that way. And
So the fog doesn't know you're there?
Yeah.
You can give it a try, but
sentiment
the
fog.
fog generally is
and
pretty good at
try
finding
and
you.
work out, at least try and see the monster, or if I can, get an investigation
That is true. No,
check.
so I like to say yes. What you can do by hiding is that you'll creep through the fog because you're obscured and it can't see you. You can stay hidden and get right up next to it, but you're being quiet, so you'd be able to take a look at it without it knowing you're there. And that's a very good.
So we are obscured whilst we also in the fog. So
Yeah,
like I
and
said,
not
we can
only
see
you'll be able
us.
to move in, check it out, and move away again.
Yep.
Make room.
Yep.
So you do so. Go ahead and move. Well, who are you?
Red.
Okay, this one? All right. So let's say that you creep up close. You are level 2 rogue, so you're able to use your bonus action to hide and then still take an action. Maybe you don't want to take an action, but at least you're ready to use your action if you want to. And you move closer. As you get into this cloud, the cloud is thick and it feels toxic. Let me look up exactly how this cloud works.
Yeah, if I can use my bonus action, it will be to.
Yeah. Yeah, as you creep in, you just sense like you're holding your breath, and you think to take a breath in, basically to start your turn here, might be bad for you, but you might have no choice. You creep closer, and you know that you're being as stealthy as possible. What is your stealth bonus?
Stealth bonus?
Oh, sorry, yeah, stealth should be a stealth skill. It should be written there. Yep. Thanks,
plus
Davey.
5.
Okay, great. So what I've done is I've secretly rolled it. It's a bit of a house rule that some DMs do. I sometimes roll the die on your behalf because I don't want you to know, oh, I'm stealthing so good it couldn't possibly see me. So I'm taking this number and I'm adding 5 to it. I'm now comparing it to the passive perception, the same rule goes both ways, of this creature. It's like it's always rolling 10s without trying. It's like you're always rolling 10s on your perception skill. So I'm taking a look at its passive perception, which is based on its wisdom. So the wiser it is, or if it specializes as being perceptive, it would know that you're here unless you rolled so high. As you get close, this uncertainty becomes quite real because it comes into view and its face is so messed up that you can't tell that it's looking at you or not, so you're still not sure whether it's seen you and is just holding still or it doesn't know you're there. And the creature looks like this. Now's your chance, Liam.
Oh,
Jesus.
So it's going to be up
that's
there.
gross.
So you can see some detail here.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
it's like a pig thing.
Oh god,
Yeah,
that
man.
Lord, what
is
is
horrible.
And Liam, you can show the picture of what I'm showing on the
Pig
laptop.
troll thing.
It's like
It's
a
coming
mutated.
from an abyss somewhere.
Yeah, it's like a merged. What was that? Like a spliced animal.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a splice between a frog.
You
and a
have only
pig.
taken 2 squares to go up there. You can look at it, and now you can move away. Because you maybe don't want to be in the front line of this thing. It's got claws, and again, it's just a and it's sort of like, it seems to be kind of hunkered down, like sort of squatting a bit, and seems to be maybe in a maybe defensive posture in a way, but you don't know whether it knows you're there. If you move away from it, and it knows you're there because you didn't roll very well or is very perceptive, it'll take a free swipe at you. It's called an opportunity attack of opportunity. We taught that last time. But if it doesn't know you're there, it can't take that attack of opportunity because it doesn't know. What do? Do you stay there and maybe even attack it? Or maybe surprise it, because if it doesn't know you're there, you get advantage in your sneak attack bonus, right? Or do you creep away and let the tanks maybe move into the front line?
Is there a chance that I could possibly use like my perception wisdom to investigate the animal, see if it has like some sort of weakness, if it...
Very good, yeah. So this is something you can do. That will take an action. So you haven't used an action yet. Your action could be to observe and rack your brains for whatever skill it is. So is that what you like to do?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, learning more about the monster. You don't have to fight and swing a sword to really contribute to combat is a great example of it. So now you're using your action to check it out. You can pick a skill. And the reason that it matters, you roll really high, you'll know quite a bit either way. But if you pick the right skill, you'll learn more. And there's a question, if it's nature, if you think this is a creature from the natural world, like the material plane where you are, then it's a nature roll. If you think that it's from a different plane, you would roll religion, because that's what teaches you about the planes. If you think it's like a purely magical creature, you might roll arcana, for example, to know that it's a purely magical construction. So you take your best guess based on what it looks like and what you know of the circumstance to say what skill you're going to use. But again, if you roll really high, you'll do okay. This just gives you a little bit of a help.
What do you guys think, religion or arcana?
And do it quick, we're in combat, so try it.
Can we?
Religion.
Nope.
I'm
no,
gonna
it's just his action.
I'm
so
gonna
he's-
go with religion because they're both the same.
Good. Roll religion.
That is 13.
Okay, 13, which means that you get some basics, including its name. This is a dretch, and it is a kind of demon. A fiend is an evil creature from another plane, so you're very wise to pick a religion, because this does not come from the material plane. This is a demon from a chaotic, evil plane. So the first thing that you know with a good but not super high roll, its name, and it tends, again, usually I say, your heritage is not your destiny. But when it comes to like devils, demons, angels, and seraphim, things like that, they're like inherently good. It's like they are the manifestation of an alignment. If they come from a plane, they are of that. They wouldn't have come from that plane. And you know that these things come from a chaotic, evil plane, and there's no record of demons being anything but chaotic evil. This is an extremely dangerous creature. Chaotic evil means it has no regard for health and safety and freedom for anything else besides itself. Chaotic, unlike lawful evil, which you explored earlier, you're just willing to follow the rules and ignore the fact that it hurts people. This is a joy in hurting, destroying, killing, inflicting pain. It's like a psychopathic kind of, or just a completely uncontrolled danger and rage with absolutely nothing holding it back. That's what you've discovered. You now can continue to do your move and move back. So I know those things. You don't get so high because it's not every day. You can read a lot about demons in school, but you can see that it probably doesn't seem to have any way to fire anything. It does have claws, so you're guessing that it will attack with its claws and teeth, or at least you know about that. But you're not sure about its vulnerabilities and other things. You might have to just find that out. But these things from other planes, they do tend to have some gotchas, things that they're resistant to. Remember, each monster has different resistances and vulnerabilities, and unless you roll really high, you'll have to find out through experiment and remember for next time you meet a demon.
Fire.
They were devils, though. This is
Very good, yeah. Very good contrast. And this people get mixed up all the time. Even some really great commentaries mix this up. Demons and devils are extremely different. They're both evil. Devils are lawful evil, and they come from the hells.
And these are chaotic.
Demons are chaotic evil, and you're not quite sure what the plane is because you didn't roll high enough, but there's chaotic evil planes.
Wasn't the chain devil telling us that they were against the demons in this?
Very good.
Devil's side and these guys
I'm going
were
to give you a
demons.
plot point. That's a very important linkage, that there
What was
is a
that point?
real animosity
Dan feels
between
like the
devils
devils,
and demons.
And they don't want the right thing to happen, but these guys do want the right thing to happen, and they seem to have a connection to the demons.
Very good.
And
Yes.
you did
Remember
mention
that
where-
demons and devils are actually, they're both evil, but they love to destroy each other. They're on opposite sides of the order and the spectrum, and there's a huge battle between them, a huge war going on. Very good.
This was like a month.
Again, you get plot points just for things like, oh my god, yes, that was a deep cut, you remember something from a while ago, very important. All right. We're still on your turn. We got to keep moving. What are you going to do? Are you going to move away or not?
Stay.
Okay. You stay there, but don't attack. Okay. All right. Well, you can't attack. You used your action. So you're taking up a spot by where an attacker could stand. That's fine. Okay, so you are there. That is good. You are up close, able to observe it, and it still might not know you're there, but you're not sure. Okay. Next around the table is you. Tulip. And, it's okay to go slow, and if you learn if you're confused, definitely stop. but also we're gonna keep the momentum going. Just try not to debate too much with each other, and try to. But when your turn comes, try to decide what you're doing. You can ask a question when it's your turn, so don't worry about that. But yeah, just start thinking ahead of it.
Okay, well, he's got his hand axe out.
Mm-hmm.
What's
your chip? What kind of chip do you have there?
I've got the 6.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Good.
I think he takes a step into the fog as well behind.
All right. So you can make it to here or here, and then you'd be able to attack, or at least be next to it and be able to and decide to take an action on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Are you dwarf?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think your speed is 20. Does it say 25 on the speed? Okay, so you can't quite make it. Your stumpy little legs. So you can get into the fog, or you can stay outside.
I'll just stay just outside of the fog.
Stay just outside. You can't reach anyway, so why not stay outside the fog?
Yeah, don't breathe.
Okay, but you can still take an action. You can move further. You won't be able to. So you use your action to basically increase your speed, and then at least you're up in a squirrel. But again, you can't do anything because you've used your action. Or you can cast a spell, do an action of some sort here. There's some things that you can cast that maybe will help your party, but gotta decide now. What is it?
Can I just do a nature check on the fog and see if I can?
Sure, very good. Yeah, so you kind of get a little bit of a sniff. So yeah, then go do a nature check. So it's your action to see what's the nature of this fog. Good move.
Very good. It's 9.
Okay, with a 9. All right. And that's with your plus. Did you add your nature bonus?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You are not really sure about the nature of it. Next is you.
Well, deep breath. Nothing like going to the front, is there?
Which one are you?
Star.
Okay, great. Yep. Okay. Do you want to be left or right?
Yeah, I'll just be
on
across
your side there.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I've got my sword and my shield.
Mm-hmm.
My long sword and my shield.
All right. All right.
So
this you're going through a corner, a sort of catty corner, which means it has cover. Its AC is 2 points higher, but your AC is 2 points higher because you're going through a partially obscured thing. If you're in the middle, you don't have a cover. It doesn't have cover to you. Just I'm doing a tactical thing.
Next time round. And I will use my action to attack it.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right, let's get on.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Having known like there's a demon, like you have a way of sort of like communicating. Don't worry about like pretending that you didn't know. He basically did the equivalent whisper, like, it's a demon. You can kill it. It's okay.
You just sneak up to me, just sit behind me like.
Well, that's the weird thing, actually. You sort of feel like this is weird. Ever since you did the mushroom cave, especially, you've got these shards on. You feel like you sort of saw through his eyes. The same way you could see his memories. You've still got this weird, spooky connection with each other. You have some sense of what other people are feeling and maybe emotions, and even in a vague, dreamlike way, kind of what they're seeing and even what they're thinking. Like you feel a little connected in a weird way. So that's also means that you know this demon.
So is that connection between all of us, like
All
all
of
of
you.
us, or is it between people we matched with?
No, all of you. But it might be stronger with someone you matched with. With someone you matched with, you can consider stronger. All right, so you know it's a demon, which means it's okay to attack.
All right, so that's 15.
Very good, yeah. You've rolled your d20 and you've added your bonus for what kind of weapon do you have?
Long sword plus 4 hit.
Perfect, okay. So I'll take 15. I'm going to take a look at its armor class compared to, with a +2. You are able to hit it. You have to maneuver around. Your sword sort of skips off the end of this corner and it just hits in the shoulder, so you feel like there's barely a chance to hit, but you do hit it. You roll your damage,
And
please.
7 plus 2 is 9.
9. You do 9 damage to it. I'm going to
Slashing
write it down for
damage.
number 1. Yeah, type of damage does matter. It's always good to mention that because, as you know, with resistances, but it takes all of that damage. This is some relief because you remember the imp took half damage from a slash like that. This does not have a resistance to slashing damage. All right, good job. You've taken a chunk out of it. Next is you, Myrrh.
I move forward, and I get his longbow or shortbow, was it?
Longbow.
Longbow.
Okay, all right, great. That's fine. That's basically a free action. So he has it on his holster. Basically, you can just pull it off on that. That's what's called an item interaction. You can do one item interaction during your turn for free.
See if it sort of
And
do piercing.
how far is vision in the fog? Can I see it there?
You cannot see it, but at least you know where it is. So you'd be attacking with disadvantage.
Can you
Okay.
see his shoulder and kind of fire
Where-
over
where-
his shoulder?
where-
Yeah,
do I
but
get-
still disadvantage. Yeah, so
So I have
you
to
know its
be
location.
within the ring?
Yes, but
Okay.
with ranged attack, if you're next to something, you also have disadvantage. To shoot an arrow at someone
Yeah.
right here, you have disadvantage that way.
Yeah.
So there's almost no way to fire in this fog without
Well,
disadvantage.
no,
with
I
the bow.
have
But still good. Disadvantage.
True
is terrible.
strike, which would give me an advantage.
Ah,
on
that would
my
cancel
roll.
out. Yep, if you had
So,
advantage at the
if
same
I
time,
would-
they cancel out.
Could I move closer?
Well, you can just take up
Again?
the
Oh,
only the
You
square
don't
that's
have to
empty.
do that.
Yeah.
Well,
You don't
to
have to.
cast True Sight, I need to see him.
True sight. Oh, true sight. I thought it said true strike.
True Strike, yeah.
True strike. Ah, it has to be on a creature you can see. Yes. So you
Yeah.
move in close. Let's just say you kind of poke your head through, cast true strike, and I can move wherever you like.
And then I'll move back here.
Okay, very good position. And that took your action to cast that, so you're not going to attack, but you're charged up, so you have advantage. And that cancels out the disadvantage that you'd have. No matter how many advantages and disadvantages you have on either side, they always cancel out totally. Okay, very good. I am going to move now. All right. This thing, it is squatting in place, but it suddenly reacts. It does not, it probably doesn't see you because it attacks you over here. And you've got a +2 to your AC as it slashes out. It is going
So
to
it's
take.
19. My AC would be 19 then.
Okay, all right. With a 10, it slashes with its claw, and you are able to sort of duck out of the way. It does a multi-attack, though. It can do more than one attack, I'm sorry to say. It then claws from the other side. This time rolls a 20, which is enough to get you.
Just.
That claw digs into you. It does 4 points of slashing damage. And it just feels kind of icky, like it just feels dirty. Its claws are dirty, it's really stinky, and so that's sort of a gross sort of feeling. Then it hunkers itself down, and is obviously taking a defensive action. But that just gives you disadvantage to hit it, and if you've got True Strike, again, advantage is sort of hunker up. So it seems to be, it's weird, it hunkers down, and you think that it could, maybe move out and do something. You could tell that it's bracing itself. You're enough tacticians say this is someone who's like deliberately kind of more keeping you out and attacking when possible, rather than wanting to do maximum damage. And for those of you who might be DMs at home, I will sometimes take 2 monsters that are like CR 1/4, for example, mash them together and call them one monster, and they act like a pair. So this is like a pair of dretches that are sort of glued together into one skin. So they'll take 2 actions, and they have more hit points. It just stops me from having like 14 chips on the board with a group this big. I can explain that in my Patreon videos, which you can see later on, that you can all see if you subscribe. It's called Melding Monsters Together. I didn't invent it, but I've sort of worked on it. That's all to say, that's why he's able to both attack and do a full defense action without me cheating. You can tell there are others in there. However, again, the way that the noise is, you hear them move around, and you think there's at least a couple more back there somewhere, but you're not sure where, because these plops are happening over time. You hear Jop Jop doing her thing. She is humming that same song to herself. You can see the glow of that bot, that glow of pride in the bot, and you still hear her talking about it. You hear like little drills and hammers, like ting ting ting, like the bot is using its tools somehow. And these glows, she keeps dumping these sort of new glows, and you hear that clattering open and close. Obviously, she's going to keep doing this and keep making these demons until she is stopped. Finding her, she's not in any one particular spot. You just have to get through there. And she's saying, yeah, find it, baby. Yeah, find the shard. Yeah, you'll be so proud. You'll have pride when you find the shard, baby. Find it. So that's what she's doing. You are next.
Which one's you?
Sorry?
Which one's you? What is you?
Oh, I'm white.
Okay, cool. Because I
Which
am
one?
number 1.
Okay,
And
yep.
then hopefully move over here and take her longbow off her.
Okay, great. You pick up her longbow. All right, that one.
Can I take a shot from outside the fog?
Yes, yeah, you're outside the fog and shooting through. Again, you have disadvantage to hit it with the longbow, and it is it's got a +2 on AC because you're kind of shooting around that corner. So roll 2d20. Whenever you roll disadvantage, I always advise you borrow your friend's die, roll both dice at the same time in one handful. Just pick the lower of the 2, and then tell me your total.
Sam, so do you roll a d20 or do you roll the
D20. So you're rolling to attack, but have 2 D20s in your hand. Can you borrow that? Because roll with disadvantage just makes it faster, sort of more fun this way. Roll that. So you just toss out the higher one.
19 is not
Most
wrong.
things.
Exactly. Yeah. So you do that. You'll add what's your bow bonus?
+7.
Yeah.
My spells.
That's great. Yeah. Oh, that's her bow when she fires it. If you're firing it,
Anyway.
that's great. Fantastic. You will use your dexterity bonus +2, so you have a +4. Whereas I know she looks the same. She's specialized in the bow. You have a +4.
Oh, so 16.
That's great. 16. Remembering that it has a slightly higher AC, but you still hit it. Good job. All right, the mage using a bow. That's nice, some flexibility. And this is why these different combats have very different feels. We have bows coming into mage's hands, and you hit this thing. Roll your damage. You're going to add your dexterity bonus. So you can look up her damage range there, but it's your dexterity bonus.
3.
Yeah, so you'll be a +2 because you're not quite as dexterous. So roll a d8, you said?
Oh, yeah, D8.
Yep, so if you can't find that, let me know. Very good. Yep, so rolling a d8.
7 plus 2 is 9.
9. So you've taken 9 hit points off of this thing. Good job. And again, it takes all of that damage. That's piercing damage. And it is taking that on. It starts to, like, there's a point where you know you're...
defensive position.
Was taking a defensive position, that's why I rolled disadvantage. Yeah. So that imposed disadvantage. Also firing at an invisible creature imposed disadvantage, but they don't stack. It's just one disadvantage is enough for anybody. You manage to prevail anyway. And as a result, you can see, and therefore the rest of the group sees, that it got hit harder. Like the first time, it kind of like wrenched out of the way and like the skin sort of got damaged. This sort of hits in the same spot where it already had some wounds, and this black ichor starts oozing out of it. This is a way to say that the monster is bloodied, even though it's not blood, it's some sort of weird black fluid, which means you're halfway through its hit points. So there's generally you can always tell when you're halfway through something. It starts to fall
18,
apart.
we've hit 18 off it. It's got
Yeah,
about
you've taken
36
18
to
off it.
40.
I think around 40, I think.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm going to get out
Good job.
my new rapier.
Woohoo!
And
Woohoo!
my
You,
new
you swish it
shields.
around a bit, yes.
And my new shield.
Yes.
Because rapier has is better than my greatsword anyway.
Yeah.
And my shield as well. But
Uh-huh.
the shield, does it like, do I need to say something about like I'm going to block the attacks or do I need to make
Nope,
something
nope, but just
or-
ask your AC. So that's all
cool.
part of the color. And you're
Awesome,
this
so
white
yeah.
one here, yeah?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so in you go.
Okay, so I'm going to take a deep breath, try not to breathe that in, and go into the fog, and I'm going to try
Right.
and stab it.
Okay, so also
Slice it
holding your
open,
breath, in
maybe.
you go. It has a +2 to its AC, but other than that, you can see it. So it's just a normal roll. And 1d20 that you
I want to
roll.
try and slice up the belly, like a...
Oh wait, sorry, it's got a full defense action. You still have disadvantage because it's defending
Yeah.
itself. All right, so you're gonna slice its belly, but because it's taking a defensive action, you roll 2 d20s. Again, grab 2 in your hands at the same time. Roll them both and toss out the higher one. Tell me what your result is.
11, 18, so 11.
Yep, keep the 11.
And so plus 5, so 16.
Okay, with a 16, yeah. So that's because you're using a rapier. It's not quite as high as your bow, but at least you're up there really close. And I'm adding to its AC because the angle, and you hit it. You slash it open very nicely. You do slice its belly. Roll your damage, and remember you add your dexterity bonus this time.
No. So it's a 6. So
What was your plus on your rapier, by the way?
it
What was
was
the plus?
plus 5.
Yeah, that's right. You did it right. Yeah. I was making
So
sure
this
your
is
dexterity
the-
and strength.
That's a
No,
10.
that's 9. Is it? Okay, cool. So 5, so 8.
Okay, 8
Eight piercing,
damage.
8 piercing.
8 piercing, it takes all of that. Just like an arrow does full damage, it's another kind of piercing damage, and you are wearing it down. It is now bleeding much more profusely. All right. Keep going.
Okay, can I ask, do we know whether that fog extends further down the tunnel, or is it?
Yeah, once you look a couple squares in, it's so thick that you can't tell.
Can't tell. Yeah. I'd like to investigate whether the fog. Well, first of all, does fog count as an object?
All right.
And-
Depends on what you're doing with it, but maybe.
Can I investigate whether it's flammable or not?
Okay.
In order.
Says the people who are
And
actually
then-
doing it.
I would
Without
assume
chaos chance,
not.
I just listen to your thought and I'm like,
Roll.
hey!
I would assume not, considering there's like smoking, everything.
You're gonna need to get close. So what do you look like here?
I'm the gold one.
Yep, okay. So you'll need to get close, at least next to it, to
Yep.
sort of give it a little sniff, and use a skill like nature as we used before. But if you feel like, oh, let's do religion or whatever else, if you're high at it, then
Yeah, I
again,
think I'll use religion.
Okay, yeah. It's like, oh, this is as your planar creature. Let's sort of look at this way.
Yeah. 19.
19. Yes, good job. You know this is a poisonous cloud. You actually have heard of this before because you studied this sort of thing, like what not to do when you're in the abyss, by the way. So the plane that demons are from, or this demon's from the abyss, A-B-Y-S-S. Like hell is one destination, the abyss is a different one. You know, thanks to that action, this fetid cloud is this disgusting green gas that it creates itself with farts probably. It obscures and all that other stuff. It can be dispelled by a strong wind. You've rolled well enough that a strong wind, I'm not sure if you have, but it's like magical wind of some sort, so not just a little fan. Strong wind might disperse it. If you start your turn here, bad things happen. You'll be poisoned, and it means that it also kind of slows you down. But it doesn't necessarily damage you. It just kind of makes you feel bad.
Do you have to do like something just like if you're getting poisoned, do you automatically get poisoned if you're in the cloud no matter if you're something
If you
like that?
start the turn in there, so basically if you take a breath, let's say at the beginning of your turn, you're sort of taking a breath because when you're exercising, that's you could say that's what it's like. Yeah.
Is
So
that the
starting
reason-
your turn here is bad, but you know, hey, this is D&D. Just go on in there and tolerate it. You know,
Is
it's just a
that the way
terrible,
to stop
stinky
it?
sort of thing.
To do a constitution.
Some character types don't breathe. You're not one of them. All right, so moving around to.
So can I just finish my
Yes.
turn by going 3 steps back next to Gary, please?
There? Okay. I was like, whoop, 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 okay, I don't want to be in there. All
You know
right.
someone's not doing any damage.
All right. There we go. Next round.
Okay, so I'll move up to diagonally towards.
You're here?
No, that's the blue one.
Blue one, blue one, blue one, blue
In
one.
the back left.
Yeah.
So 2 diagonally that way, yeah. And I'm going to turn my hand around and appear as flame as my action.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you did learn that it's not flammable.
So you
Good.
said we didn't say anything about flammable, so I was assuming it wasn't. No, actually, sorry, for my bonus action, I'm going to take my quarterstaff and bash it into the ground and cast Shillelagh.
Yes, yeah. So what would that look like? Yeah, do you want to describe it? I know what it
So-
looks like.
It's
Yeah, it's like
Not
it's an
100%
ordinary,
sure.
it's an ordinary
It's
stick. When he bangs
ordinary
it,
stuff,
it
but
gets
then
like
it
really
glows.
gnarly. It glows, and it gets all these sort of like knobs and sort of whirls and thing. Like it turns into really like super hard wood for a second. That just like you could really crack someone over the head. It becomes a very damaging weapon.
and that's with my left hand. With my right hand, I pull out the flame.
Yeah, I like that image. Right on. Okay.
And that's where I stand.
Right on, yeah, that's a 2-step process. You know, you've got the flame in your hand, and the glow helps, but it doesn't penetrate the fog. So unlike dim light that does get penetrated by light, fog and smoke it doesn't affect that. It's a different kind of obscurity, which you're now learning about. Next is you.
Well, I'm starting in the fog, so what
That's
happens?
right, okay, do a Constitution saving throw. So remember, it's the little box that has your saving throws, and add that to your d20.
17.
So you rolled a something? What did you roll?
I've rolled a 15.
Yep, and
And
2
my
is your
Constitution
Constitution. That sounds
saving-
about right.
yeah, it's
17, you are able to resist. Whatever this does, it does the things that you've learned about, but you resist its effect, so you are unaffected by it. Good for you.
So I'm
You have
mopey
your
and I
turn.
don't breathe.
All right.
Cool.
You
well,
think you
yeah.
are hidden, and if you are hidden, you would be able to attack with advantage because you'd be surprising it.
Yep.
And that means that you would do all of your sneak attack bonuses.
Yeah, I'm
It's
gonna
a
go
great
straight for it.
rogue opportunity.
Yeah, I'm gonna go straight for an attack with my short sword.
Straight
This
to the
time take
foot.
2 d20s in your hand, but this time take the higher of the 2. That's the way advantage works.
Oh no, that's a 9. So it's a 9 and plus my since it's a short sword.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
Yep.
my dexterity?
It'd be a short sword.
Yeah, it'd be next to your short sword. It does have to do with your dexterity, but it adds a plus. This is your dexterity plus 2.
14.
essentially. 14, very good. Good job. You hit it.
Cool.
Not having cover, being right up front, not in a corner, helped, definitely. So yeah, you were in perfect position for that. It bellows with surprise. It did not see you. That's why you rolled with advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that as a rogue, you can just gut it, like you just stick your sword in and just sort of twist it back and
Yeah.
forth, and you do extra damage to it.
Ooh.
So if you've read what sneak attack damage does, you can just
not
do it.
it.
Otherwise,
It
I can tell you what
is-
sneak attack damage does.
It is so it's a 1d6,
Mhm.
which is
An extra d6, yeah,
It's a
a
normal
flat
dice.
one.
this
Yeah.
one.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I may as well roll these.
Yeah, and so you're rolling a d4 because that's a dagger.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
That's great. And then therefore you add your dexterity bonus, right? And that d6. So those 2
Okay.
dice plus your dexterity bonus. Throw them all together. Though.
Yeah.
That was not a D4. That's a D8.
That's a D8.
So you don't
D4
roll
is-
Yeah,
Right.
throw away the d8. The d4 is the pyramid, the
Yeah.
4-sided
Oh.
pyramid.
You roll the
I would
rolls.
have this one.
Yeah, it's underneath
Oh.
the card. I can see
Oh,
it from
that's
here.
all right.
There you go.
Cool.
No
So
worries.
let's swap this one out.
Yeah.
That's a 2.
Okay, so add them all together plus your dexterity bonus. That's how
So
much
that's
damage
a 5. Which dexterity is it, Merv? Is this there? This one?
you do.
Okay, so that's an 8.
8, yeah, that's great. Very good damage.
Yep.
In other ways, it shows your damage there, like next to your dagger. It's just you're adding a d6 to whatever it says next to dagger, so you can come to the same conclusion that way. 8 damage. I'm going to take a look at that. Does it die? I've lost track of where it is. It is not dead. It is gushing. Its guts fall out. It's the gut, but it doesn't have like normal organs. You realize as it sort of falls all around you, these are things that are kind of like random chunks of meat of slightly different textures, but it's not even like blood vessels and veins and stuff. This is just made of just weird slimy stuff of different sort of weird shapes. Now, but you know that somebody's guts falling out are generally bad. They like to keep those things in, even in the devil demon realm. And of course, the smell gets even worse. You think this thing is very near death, but it is not dead. Which brings us to.
I'm gonna move back as well.
Okay.
Out of the fog.
All right. Yeah. So your jig is up. Since you've stopped stealthing, it now knows where you are, and you move away. By doing so, it could take an attack of opportunity, but you can use your bonus action to disengage, as the top
Yes,
that we talked
that's
about.
the one I want to use.
All right. Again, rogues can use their bonus
I
action
also
to
meant that.
disengage, which means it can't take an attack of opportunity. Is that a good place for you?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, moving around to Tulip.
Okay, well, I'm going to move into the spot that he was in.
Okay, sure. What's your spot?
So I'm
6. Okay, yeah, sorry, I keep forgetting. All right, so Tulip comes charging in, holding her breath.
yeah, and I'm going to use the hand axe to try and slash it.
Okay, with the hand axe, go lunging at it. Hopefully you'll kill it. You are, it's still got its defense, full defense on, so you're with disadvantage. Roll 2 dice at the same time.
That's a 10.
A 10 is not enough. You hit it, but you hit a thick part of its skin. You dig into it, but it's just bad luck, where you just didn't have that extra little bit of oomph, strength to kind of pierce through its armor, and you do not do any damage to it. And there you are, but it looks at you. It knows that you tried. Next, Archie.
Okay, so I'm starting in the cloud.
Yes.
So I have to do a Constitution
Constitution saving throw. Thank you for reminding me. It's exactly the kind of thing I might forget.
check. 7 plus 4 is 11.
Ooh, well, thanks to that bonus, you feel like it nearly overcomes you, but why do you have so much practice dealing with terrible smells?
Well, we're
You don't know what you're talking about, guys.
And see, he's proficient at this particular saving throw as a fighter, so he gets to add his proficiency bonus to his constitution, so that's why it's so high. All right,
Okay.
You, very well, even though you take a huge gulp of the stuff, you managed to not be affected. Good for you. Now keep going.
Okay, so I'm going to attack it with my longsword.
All right.
Is it still at...
Yep.
Can I borrow your D20?
I forget, are you the purple gear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, yeah, so it's still got cover because it's around the corner.
jeez. 17 and 4. That's rotten, isn't it?
It is,
Yes,
so that's
so
disadvantage.
that's definitely only an 8.
Only an 8, unfortunately, yeah. So you also swing, but because it's defending itself, it's barely
Yeah.
staying alive, but it's
We'll
just
get
got this
that.
passion to survive and is sort of ducking out of the way. Okay, there we go. All right.
So I've got his longbow, so I'm gonna use that.
All right.
Kill it, kill it.
And
You got this.
Yep, so
Oh,
you
no,
have
you've got
disadvantage.
true sight.
Oh, true sight, yes.
True strike.
Advanced true strike. It's a spell that he casts. That means he negates that.
13. I think it's +5.
Yep, sure.
Plus
Which,
5.
which one is he on here? Which
I'm the.
yeah,
this one.
sure. You have a clear shot. Well, no, you're firing through a friend. Firing for a friend, which means his armor class goes up by 2 because you have a smaller target. That's probably okay. What's your total?
18.
18. Yeah. So it gets a cover bonus, as it's called. But yeah, 18, as you could probably tell by now. His AC doesn't tend to change. You kind of dial in. Who would guess? Has anybody guessed what his AC must be?
10 to 12.
13.
Around there, yeah, you're in the right range. So now you can sort of tell that you hit it because you rolled well enough and start speeding things up. Yes, roll your damage with your bow. And sometimes when you attack, you just roll your damage because you might as well roll all the dice at the same time. Sometimes you roll the damage after you roll your d20 just to save
Plus
time.
your dexterity.
4.
4. It gets hit through the throat. Its throat gets torn out and it collapses.
Yes.
As it collapses, it turns this weird slush. And that slush just kind of turns like this weird sort of gelatin, and the gelatin just kind of dissolves into the ground. So there's no body left behind as this thing goes away. You now can see, back here, of course, the space is full of smoke and sort of this weird gas that's back there. But it seems like the passage is open because you can't tell until you go in, but you don't see, you can't tell from the sound or anything. There's something immediately behind it.
I will also move forward.
Yeah, charge!
I will.
Lead the charge, dude.
Yes, all right.
I'll have
So
some
that's
balls.
pretty much the extent of your movement. So you can tell that once you got through here that you are now in some sort of room. So at least you know that some walls are over here. You kind of feel around. But this fog continues because this is right next to you. You can tell there's a wall. Same kind of material that's here.
Yeah.
But this also, you touch like a paper or painting, there's more like blueprints around. You hear several of these creatures here, but again, the way the echoing is, I'm not going to place where they are, but you know that there's at least a few that are out here somewhere. All right, so And also you know that Jop, but those are not placed. You just know that if you start feeling around the room, you'll basically, once you're in this room, you'll kind of have to sort of cast around randomly based on your perception roll. You might find, if you're looking for Jop or looking for a demon, you'll let me know. I'm not going to ask you because you've only just barely entered. But now you all know what is in there. The smell in here is still terrible. You are still in a cloud. And you're guessing that there's a lot of these creatures and they're the ones creating these clouds. You feel like you probably won't be breathing fresh air for a while if you're in there. Good job for you.
How is Jop not getting poisoned from being in the
Good
is she
question.
not
Good question.
resistant to poison?
Strong lungs from years of smoking bongs. Who knows? So it is
But
my
Chilla should be
turn.
immune too.
Bongs make your lungs stronger.
Yeah. We all know that.
That's right.
So Chilla should be immune too.
Once again, the wizard is in the
Almost
front,
like
and that
poison
means the
resistance.
wizard is going to be attacked.
That's fine.
So this thing appears in front of you, but just remember that anybody who's not next to it can't see it, so you can see it if you're next to it. Otherwise, you only know its location, you're striking at disadvantage. This is very much about a melee. This is a melee game. So this thing comes up to you, but you can see it. By the time it swings at you, you can see it. So it does not have advantage, for example.
Yep.
And it does a multi-attack.
Is it another dretch?
It's another dretch. It starts with a 19 against your AC. Now, you have a spell called Shield, do you not?
I do.
Okay.
I do. But
So if you cast Shield, yeah, you'll raise your AC by 5.
Oh.
But 13 plus 5, 18, 19 wouldn't do it. So I was like, yeah. Usually what I do is I told you the total. What I really should do is I say, well, I rolled a blah, and you'll have to guess, like, how much of a bonus is that blah going to get? Do I use my shield or not? But you'll find out soon enough because it's going to swing again. Anyway, it hits you for only 1. So the thing slashes, you sort of duck underneath, it takes its finger and goes, like just right in your back, almost like taunting you. It does 1 point of damage, but it just like stabs you between the shoulder blades with this delighted grunt. But it is able to try to claw at you again because it has multi-attack. But with a 5, it's not able to. You sort of roll out of the way. But I have bad news. Like I said, I remember all these things are like 2 things glommed together. There's nothing else for it to attack. And the wizard is the one who's kind of plunged in and sort of decided, so I have no choice but to continue with this multi-attack. It tries to grab with a claw yet again. With an 11, it's not able to. You're quite dexterous for a wizard, so you're rolling out of the way, and then it lunges forward for a bite.
It's not as old as the other ones.
But with a 7, it doesn't. You just managed to, like, you're just kind of doing Matrix stuff as it's sort of like, stabbing, grabbing, and give you that 1 shot. But you've taken 1 point of damage after being wailed on by this thing. Good job. Good skills there. That's right, that's right.
Jack
Oh,
Sparrow.
no, I am quite dexterous.
The,
Yeah.
I am quite
the
dexterous.
unthinkable or the unhittable?
The other ones are moving around, but fortunately they don't come rushing up to you. But what you hear them do is this terrible, you're already in the stink, and this terrible, like in all these different directions, all of these noises all happen at once, and this gush of this green fog comes into the room. Everything now is filled with this horrible stink. All of you are starting in the stink now, so hey, you're all in the same bathtub together. You might as well enjoy it. Everything here has got the same effect. If you start your turn, you have got some problems. That was all of the demon's moves. Let me look something up here. I get so excited that I sometimes forget the obvious. And you can do some tactic talk. So now that you know what you know, who's going to do what, do some tactic talk. Well, make sure I'm
I
not
know what I want to do.
I'm
need
just
to be
gonna
able to see.
I'm just gonna be a punching bag for it, as usual.
I feel like
I can help
could
us see.
try and find Jab
Can you help us see?
Yeah.
I want to
If
try.
I can get close enough,
Yeah,
I
I
can
feel
help
like
us see.
Jab
Yes,
Jab
but
is
it's
once
already
again,
have.
it's like we could kill the enemy
flame
or
in my
go,
hand.
or go for the
What's
tower.
that flame gonna do?
He's going to keep creating more of
Yeah,
these.
we
radius
so much to go for
is
Jab,
bright
Jab,
light.
Jab, Jab,
Yeah.
Jab.
Light
Well,
does nothing.
And
the light won't
try
penetrate the
to-
fog. It penetrates the dim light.
We
However,
need wind.
you will once you're in there, you just feel like once you get close enough to, you might know where it is. But right now, you have nothing to target. If you had an area effect, like I'm just going to blast this whole area of the room and hope that it hits something, then you'd have a chance of hitting it. But if you're throwing it blind, you would just have like a small percent chance of just guessing the right square. It's better for you to get in there, and and
we
have a
gonna be
chance
able
of seeing knowing where your target is.
Can we get past each other in the hallway? Like,
Yeah, you can pass each other up in the
Maybe not.
hallway. You technically have difficult terrain, so it costs 1 extra square to move through each other, but that probably won't matter here. Yeah. Just make sure I'm not, but I'm about to start again, so last chance to talk tactics before we get going again.
Your turn. You're
He's
next.
going to walk up.
So you guys want to like shield, or we could.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I think the tank, I think
Jab, jab.
fighters
I
are just
was-
going to get in
I
there
was-
and
Get
I was
some,
going to try and
damage
use
from there.
persuasion and see if I can open up my
Someone down
perfume.
5 damage.
Ah, interesting. Sure.
So
Okay.
you
Yep.
can
Yeah. You might
find
feel
out
like
if
she's
that's-
sort of ignoring you, so that might be a tactic. Yep. You might try to stop this fight by convincing her or distracting her or using her charisma.
Because the
That'd
kobold
be
sent us
persuasion,
in here,
for example.
like to talk to her,
Or
not
intimidation.
to fight her.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like
Possible.
I feel like if we could just get her attention, like get her to focus.
Maybe you could show her the visor you got from the whatever his name was. Because
So,
obviously he gave
I
it to
have
me.
a spell,
Yeah, baby.
chill touch.
One more minute to talk before we go. Yeah.
I have chill touch. It says, I've got it up here. It says if you hit the target,
That
does
could
that
be
mean
beneficial.
anyone?
Yes.
He might-
Chill
Okay.
touch is very
She might
interesting that he
stop
deliberately
finding
leave out a creature
The
you can
kobold sent us
see,
in
so
here
you're
to
very
talk to her.
clever.
I need
You
a
noticed
finder,
that.
so maybe
Yeah, very clever.
once Merv or like myself finder, we could
You'll still need to
definitely
get close enough to
Take
know.
an
like, none of
action.
these are
Take an action
targetable because you don't know the
Can you
location.
just
So
sway
you
The one
that.
in front of
Huh?
me.
Yes, that's
The
true.
one in front of me, that's fine.
There's
Charisma?
a ranged
Yeah,
spell attack, so you have
Yeah, my
disadvantage
charisma's
to hit something
+2.
right next
Yeah,
to you.
cool, but
Yeah,
I think
so
you'll
you'd have
find-
disadvantage, but you
Maybe
could step
try
away,
and
you could
convince
and
her
then
not
take
to
an
go
I would
there.
like
opportunity attack.
Hey, I know
yes,
you
all
didn't
the
choose
tactics.
any of the
All
ones.
right.
I'm the most charismatic man.
Here we go. I've done my things. Their main thing was to
I know
make a
what
lot
you're
of stink.
trying,
but-
Remember, everything's stinky, and it's your turn. So you start in the stink. So please remember, you're going to do a Constitution saving throw. Feel free to do that when your turn is next.
Right.
But don't do it right now. But
Hey, dwarven resilience.
20.
oh, good for you.
yes.
Okay, you're not affected by whatever this thing does. You can do whatever you like.
Awesome.
Smell.
Resistance against
So I was
poison
thinking about-
damage. Oh.
I am 1,
Mm-hmm.
but how far can I move to here?
6 squares. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Sure.
So move here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
And can I like stick my hand in like burning hands that way?
Yes.
Or I
Have
move
you,
up
have
one
you
way.
moved, have you
Hands
moved
a
6
touch.
squares already?
I'll see it 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, and it's 2, 3 because you move through your 4. Yeah, 5, 6. Even though technically, you're kind of going catty-corner, but yeah, sure, I'd say that. Yeah, that sounds great. So yeah, you're gonna try burning hands. You only have this like echoing noise, so you just have a random number of targets that might be in there. But yeah, it's definitely a good move.
Yeah. Well, because I'm just walking in and I'm seeing
Yeah.
he's at the door.
Ah, here's another thing.
I'll
So
want him to
moving through
explode.
smoke, do a perception roll. I'll look up what the DC on this is. Do a perception roll.
5.
Okay, so yeah, you're just kind of casting about. So you just are trying to pick a direction, not entirely at random, towards where the noise is that the echoes make confusing, and you just fire off burning hands, and you'll hit some random number of things. Are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
All right, so you make sure you cross off your spell slots. Remember, spell slots are a very important thing to keep track of if you're a mage. Beforehand, I can explain that more if you come early, but just remember, you can only cast these spells only so often. I'm going to just openly roll, like basically, no, you openly roll. This is just called a luck roll, right? So just a d20, and I'll basically figure out from the higher it is, the better it is. So you always want to roll high. Okay, good. So you get 2 things in your cone. You hear the sizzling and the flames, sort of light up the glow. That there are 2 enemies. You don't quite know where they are. Let's call it these 2 over here. All right. So I'll just put them vaguely over there, though you don't know exactly where they are. They are in your cone, so to speak.
Okay.
Cones. That's what Chop Chop smokes. What are you going to do? They do dexterity saving throws. Look up your spell DC. If you know it already, I can help you find it, but this is the number that they need to roll in order to succeed. If not,
I do not know.
that's fine, no worries, no worries.
Talk to her, but she's
So, your spell DC is the number that they have to get in. The more, in your case, the more intelligent you are and higher level you are, the better it is. I figure out, I know your spell DC, and you'll want to write it down somewhere as, actually it's written here for you for spell casting ability, DC 13. 13 is because you start with 8, just you mages, you magic casters is 8, plus your primary attribute, in this case is intelligence, plus 2, because you've got a proficiency bonus of 2. That's what I could, so 13. So I need to roll 13. I tend to roll this openly. I won't tell you what the bonus is yet. A 5. It fails. That's number 1. The second one, a 12. If it's very dexterous, it would save, but it's not very dexterous. It gets hit as well, so you know its dexterity is not very high. There's something else you learn tactically about monsters, like, oh, it's a monster with relatively low dexterity, so I want to cast spells where it needs to do a dexterity save. Oh, it has a very high constitution. I'm not going to bother, casting poison that, does constitution saves, for whatever reason.
dexterity also like ranged attacks?
Yeah, no, that's AC. So you already have a feeling any ranged attack would just be against its AC.
Yeah, yeah.
And now that you know that it's vulnerable to piercing, then you're all good.
AC
So-
not that high.
Both of them, they take full damage. So just roll your damage once. The same damage applies to both of them. Burning hands.
Yeah,
Yep.
it said 3d6s.
Yes. Holy cow.
Jesus.
3.
Each of them take that?
Yeah, please do. Yep, each of them will. 3d6s.
One, and you can roll that one twice.
Yeah, it's a 15-foot cone. I just again rolled randomly that you just happened to get 2 because you rolled quite well. You're quite brave to
I
get
rolled
in
2
there.
ones, so I got 7 damage.
7 damage. That's still not bad. Okay, yellow 2 and brown
that was so
1.
unlucky, dude.
It'll be your turn next. So so start strategizing while I write this down. Yellow 2, 7. Brown 1. 7. You've done your Constitution save. Very good. Did you fail?
About 13.
No, that's good. That's fine. So now you're getting a feel for what number you need to roll. You're dialing in on what its DC is. 13 is good. What do you do there,
Oh,
May?
yeah. So this is the guy. No, Hannah, that's you, right? That
Mm-hmm.
one. Okay,
Yeah, so you
this
know
is
where
the-
that one is. These are still kind of vague. Like
Okay,
you're
so
not
this is
quite
the
sure
one.
where these
That's the
are.
one we can see.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
You're not
I
quite sure
think
where
I
they
moved
are
it.
either.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, you just run into the room and you just kind of move around
Yeah.
randomly and just see what you run into based on your perception.
Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then there's an extra 1 to get through there.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
1,
Yeah.
2,
Technically so.
3,
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
So then what? 5 here? Or 5?
Yeah. That's fine. So you can do like basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Cool. I'll go there.
Okay.
And I got my thing again.
Okay,
I'm
against
just
yellow 3.
I
Yeah.
want to try and take its head off. It's
All right. Take a really big swing of that big pig head. So yep. You're rolling it. So it's just 1 die. It has not done defense. You can see it. So it's just a normal attack.
So this one.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Taking some of the heat off of our mage who was in the front line to get thumped. It's good to do.
There goes the D8. Okay.
Yeah. First to hit, so that would be your damage. Keep that. But now you have to roll a d20 see if you even hit it to begin with.
Oh right. Okay. Cool. So.
Now keep that one. I'm afraid that's gonna have to stay there. Yep.
Yeah.
But roll your
Okay,
d20 see if
okay.
you hit it to begin with.
Well, that's better.
Yeah, hey, that's all right. Yeah, at least you get a chance. I too. Even with your math, I'm pretty sure.
At least your one
Yeah.
doesn't matter now.
That's right. Now you don't have to worry about the 1. All right, but you're in position. Very good. Next is you.
Okay, so my plan involves.
And remember, so when it comes to turn, do your dexterity, your Constitution saving throw, and have an idea as you come up what you're going to be doing.
So Firebolt says that I don't need to be able to see the object, the creature just needs to be in range, but also I've got a connection with Mo who's looking at that thing, so whether
yeah,
I
it
can
doesn't quite
detect
work
where
that
it
well.
is.
So it's more like a dream-like connection. So you're not
Yeah.
quite seeing through his eyes.
Yep.
I'll look up Firebolt. I didn't know that the Firebolt is just anything within range.
Produce
Oh, yeah.
flame is the same.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, you're right because it's like firing an arrow. Yeah, it's a melee. It's a ranged spell attack. So yeah, you.
I'm right back here, but
Yeah,
it's
I'll
still
say
in
yes. You
range.
know where it is because he's there. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, makes sense.
I
You
love
can
these
target the thing
spells.
with disadvantage. It's
He's
got a
like
+2 to AC.
disadvantage.
But yeah, you're starting off. Speaking of starting off in the stink, make sure you do your Constitution saving throw.
Yep, so that is 10.
10.
Oh,
Ah.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yes, 10.
10. Okay. Now we finally find out what this thing does.
Uh-oh.
You fail. You are poisoned until the start of your next turn. Poison is a general condition, means you have disadvantage on all attacks and disadvantage on ability checks. Right? So when you roll for this thing, no matter what the circumstances are, you're always going to have disadvantage unless something else gives you advantage. Also, additionally, you are sort of sluggish. You can either take an action or a bonus action on your turn. You can't do both. And you also can't take reactions. A reaction is what you use to do that opportunity attack. So because you're poisoned until the start of your next turn, you're limited in the number of actions you take. So now you can get yourself a position if you like, and then fire off that firebolt.
I guess I'll just move over 1 square so
Yep, which
that I'm
one? You're
just
here?
directly, I'm the
Yep.
gold one.
Okay,
Right?
great. Yep.
Do you not?
Are you sure you don't want to get closer?
Yeah, because like they're not coming out of that.
They're not
room.
coming out, and
Yeah,
you're
that's
going to be
fair.
distinct no matter
Yeah,
what.
whatever, yeah.
All right, yeah. So you get
It's
a
in
little
the-
bit closer, perhaps. Yep.
Fog wherever, yep.
All right. So now roll 2 d20s at the same time. Take the lower of the 2. Add your usual attack bonus. You know what your spell attack bonus is? Is that down on your sheet?
Yeah.
5.
Spell attack 5.
Great.
14.
14. All right. So 14, I'm going to give it an extra 2 AC because you're shooting through a friend. But that is still good. Now you know, okay, well, this AC isn't, with the 12, never mind, I'm talking too much. You hit it. The firebolt hits it and splashes across it. Roll your damage.
Okay, so the damage on firebolt is...
Yellow 3, which I don't think anybody's hit yet.
Not resistant to piercing.
1d10 fire damage. This one.
Oh, wait, is that a 12?
10 isn't
No,
10
No, it's a 10.
Like a
yeah.
spinning top.
Yeah, that's the one.
1.
Oh.
I have some, well, at least you learned something new, so it's 1 damage total. You discover, because you're right next to it, what you didn't discover because you're hitting things far away. These things are resistant to fire damage, so it takes half. Now, you always do at least 1 point of damage, so half of 1. Usually you drop all fractions, I think. There's always a rule about that. But you do 1 point of damage to number 3. All right, next.
Okay, I can't actually get up to move, so I can't bend over the table. So
Which
my-
one? Blue?
So blue, I want to go 2, 3 up, or 2 up, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And 2, and
Sure.
then it takes me 2 to get, or
1, 2,
1, 2,
2, 3, 4.
3, 4. So
Yeah.
I'll be right behind
3, 4,
whoever the
5,
brown one
6.
is.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Cool.
Yeah,
I've
even though
got
I
a-
do square by square, but I don't want to obsess over it. Good.
Okay, cool. So with I've got to do my con saving throw,
Yes.
and that is a Constitution 18.
18, good. You're
So-
not affected.
Produce flame says I can attack with the flame, and I can hurl the flame at a creature within 30 feet of me. Well,
Yes.
It doesn't has to be.
That's great, yes. Yeah,
Same.
just like a bow, yeah, you know its location,
Like
even
jab,
though,
jab, like
you can't see it. So you have disadvantage because it's essentially invisible to you from this distance. You have disadvantage as you fire at it.
Okay.
Because it's still in the fog, you know its location, but it's in the fog.
And I can't see because it's more than 5
Yeah,
feet away.
exactly. Yeah, if you're next to it in the fog, you can see it. If you're not, you can't see it. But you can hear where it is.
13.
13. Ah. I'm raising its AC by 2. Ah, but that's fine. Yeah, it's fine. You hit it anyway. Even though I raised its AC by 2 because of you're firing through a friend, you hit it with flame. Roll your damage.
Cool. 1.
Now, even though you know it's resistant, you don't have the damage. I will have the damage. Just tell me what your total is.
Oh God.
1? Holy cow! This is one lucky
Rough.
demon, that is. It takes 1 point of damage. All right, next is you. And again, you're up on
So I'm
deck,
going
so
to
start
try and
thinking
get
what you're
in
doing
as far as I can
Yeah.
into the fog because I'm the
That's fine.
red at the
Yeah.
back.
Uh-huh.
I believe I can only move.
Yeah, here, I
it
can
says
do it for you as
25
well.
feet when walking.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, this is as close as you can get unless you dash.
Cool.
And if I were you, you can just dash and say, I'm just going to run through.
But I can't
And-
make an action after that, can I?
That's right. Oh, no,
Yeah.
you can use your cunning action. Your cunning action allows you to dash for free.
Okay,
As a
I will
bonus
dash then.
Okay,
I will
so
dash instead of walk.
let's say that you are you looking for a new enemy or do you want to engage with this one?
I
Or
want
looking for
to.
Jop Jop, basically.
I want to actually call out to Jub Jub
Yeah.
and say, like ask her like, do you want this chaos shard or the visor?
Ooh,
Like,
gonna try
swing
to
them
entice her.
around.
Okay, great. Is the shard glowing?
Yeah, it is
Your
glowing. Yeah.
glowing shard?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and-
so you're waving, you're hoping she can see the glow. Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And, and I have, do you say whose visor it is or what kind of visor? I have a silver
I
visor.
have a silver visor.
yeah. I have another silver visor.
As baby's like, what? Oh, what's that?
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. So this is, you're using your action, right? To affect
Yeah.
the battle, it always takes an action. But in this case, this is a non-combat action. It may change things. What are you good at? Deception, you're telling the truth. Now, here's where I have to hold you to something.
Yeah.
You can use deception if you intend to not actually give her the shard. All you're trying to do is try to get her to come closer or something. If you use persuasion, you have to be telling the truth, right? What are you good at? Persuasion, deception?
I'm not.
It's a charisma roll, but you might have a skill on top of that. And I can take a look
I would say persuasion.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
I'm trying to persuade her, but I mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind.
And
giving
you
it a
will
shot if I
actually
had
give
to.
it to her. So this,
Yeah.
in order, you have to sort of hold yourself to that. Yep, persuasion. Yep, you're good. So the +2, I gotta figure out what the DC is. Go and roll it though. Interesting.
I got a 12, so I got
12.
10 plus 2 equals a 12.
Okay. I'd say you've made some progress. You've gotten her attention, but it doesn't end the fight. The way it happens is this: is like you are sincerely offering, like, "Hey, I will give you, the shard and the visor," and she's like, "I got a visor already, but my visor's a lot nicer than whatever janky thing you got. But you have a shard? You have a glowing shard? And what color is your glowing shard?"
Light blue.
It's like, "Ooh, it's a pretty blue color. But I still got some juice in this one." It's like, "Ooh, I don't know if I could take another one quite yet. ooh, let me think about it. Meanwhile, here, you baby, go ahead. Yeah, pride, feel the pride, yeah. So she's still occupied, but you basically worn her down. You think another success of that type might stop this fight entirely. So somebody else could cap off that persuasion, or you can just go ahead and keep trying to find her. Yeah?
Yeah,
So you've
she
made
needs
partial
to,
progress
yeah.
towards ending the fight with a medium sort of size.
Yeah, she needs to run out of shards. We need to stop giving them to her.
Yeah, so she, you can sort of tell as she turns to you, sort of see this glow, like a faint glow of the bot, and sort of faint glow where her eyes must be. So you know her eyes are still glowing, blazing with that pride color. So she's as high as a kite, from what you can understand, and she's still riding that high. But you might be persuading there's a shard in the hand. Still might be pretty good. So now you have another option to end this fight, is to score quite well another time on persuasion and see what happens. Okay. Speaking of persuasion, what do we got?
So I've got Dwarven Resilience, so I've got advantage against saving.
Good for you,
against
yeah.
saving
So
throws
Roy
against
reading
poison.
on the character sheet, you saw that dwarves have advantage on this saving throw against poison.
That's 9.
Oh, no, just like, you're told, I can handle this, like, oh, I'm going to be sick. You have the same problem. You're poisoned, you have disadvantage on all ability checks as well. Did you do your Constitution saving throw, by the way, at the beginning of your turn?
No, I was out.
You're out, that's right. No, there is no out.
No.
Like I said,
Oh,
roll
that's
is
right.
full.
That's right.
Let's
okay.
retroact that.
Okay, that is 16.
16, okay. You
Yeah,
weren't
yeah.
affected, but you are, unfortunately, Tulip, so you have disadvantage on ability checks, including persuasion and deception and attacks.
So
What do you do?
I was going to try and use Intimidation to yell out.
Okay, great. Where are you?
Moving.
Yeah,
a little.
you're here? Number 6?
Okay.
Yeah. So where do you want to be? I'll do it for you.
Well, I can only
You
move
try to
20
find Jop?
Yeah, I can only move 25 feet.
Oh, that's
though.
fine. No, we'll get you through the crowd. I mean, you've got a friendly crowd coming through. The problem here is that you technically would have gotten an attack of opportunity by this thing, but let's forget about that. But you are trying to get by this thing.
Yeah.
In order to sort of get past Jop, you're going to need to take an attack of opportunity to kind of push past, because you think Jop's actually off in this direction somewhere, basically. Sound good?
Yeah.
But this thing will take a free swipe at you as you do so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you're trying to find Jop.
Yeah.
Roll a perception roll, by the way. This is something you didn't have to do because you're only getting there, but you're starting to penetrate into the fog. But do it with a +2, because you've got a couple people here with you. That sort of resonance you have, the more people who are in this room, the easier it is to figure out where things are. So roll +2 in your perception.
So 15 plus my perception bonus,
Yeah.
which is 18.
Yeah, plus another 2 on top of that. Great. Yes, you identify Jop quite well. As a matter of fact, you see where she is 10 feet away. Basically, you can now hear her. So she's still obscured, but now I'm locking her into place. And her bot is right near her as well.
So we're aware of where she is now?
Yes, you
That's
are now
what she-
aware of where she is.
Okay.
So you now know her square. If you need to target something with disadvantage, again, you can't see her
Yep.
for your spell effects, but at least you can shoot arrows and firebolts and stuff at her because you know where she is.
You were just
You're
trying to-
doing 2 different things. You want to charm her or kill her. It's going to be the usual race between 2 sets of players on who gets to do what. You are, now you've done that. So you've gotten close. What do you want to do now with your action?
So I want to try and intimidate her.
Yeah, that's right, the intimidation, okay. So you talk about using a perfume, but the perfume is, you're not going to use the perfume on this, you're just going to like bellow at her, right?
Yeah.
Save that perfume for maybe the next try. Okay, so you're poisoned. Roll 2 d20s, take the lower of the 2, and add your intimidation bonus.
Oh.
They're exactly the same.
And what are they?
Both 14.
Okay, good.
With my intimidation bonus, which is +3, to make it 17.
Whoa! All right, so you start, I was like, hey, I'll give you the shard. She's like, oh yeah, baby, I'll get you later. I was like, you'll take the shard now!
Just this little dwarf.
It was sort of like now or never, like we're not fucking around here. So you do sort of a change of tone.
Good cop, bad cop.
Exactly, you do the good cop, bad cop. All right, let me look that up because I think that will have a very good effect. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. Ooh. All right, that works. She's like, all right. So you step up to her, and then she's like, come on, and she holds out her hand for the shard that you promised, because you're basically stacking onto this. Is why you so you have to. This is persuasion. I'd say you really have to hand it over.
Yeah.
So cross that off your sheet.
I ain't giving up my shard necklace. Get your own.
And what is the emotion
What,
for
you'd
that
rather
one?
get stabbed?
Yeah.
What is the emotion associated
Fear.
with this? Fear.
Should we just take it off your dinner?
You didn't tell her what emotion it is either. That's
No.
great. Yeah.
Okay.
Emotion
I've
of
got my
fear
brain. Leave my brain
from
alone.
Darrican.
Oh, I didn't tell her?
No, you said I have a shard. You didn't tell her that it was fear. You said it's a pretty blue shard. You can tell her by it's like here's a shard full of fear. You can tell her that it's fear, and it might have an effect. Do you reveal the emotion or not?
Don't do that.
No.
Don't do
She
that.
could get surprised by going, oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm feeling
Okay.
scared.
I've never done this before. So you can tell that she has stopped pulling the different things open, right? You can still tell there's demons around here, so there still might be a little bit of trouble, but also, luckily, we're right near the end of the session, so our timing is perfect. It seems like you're doing quite a good thing by stopping her from creating the demons. That was your objective, so good job. Good job, everyone. Penetrating through, finding demons, all that stuff, doing these
2
clever
sections
things.
in a row, you've been the person who stops it.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's right. Finish it,
That's
yeah.
true. That's true. Start and finish. Yeah, I remember your big thing in the jail. You did this like major sort of sacred flame. You got some, but she's an addict. She's never taken 2 shards at the same time, and this is a really nice strong one.
Yeah,
There's sort of like a
overdose,
good luck, bad luck thing, but I'm rolling like. I'm just going to say the higher that I roll, the more likely it is that she's just going to consume this shard immediately just to see what it's like. And then who knows what the fuck will happen. Or she's going to like calm down. If I roll low, she calms down, keeps it for later, and then it's more predictable. Higher is she takes the shard. Ah! He's like, oh, I just can't resist! And she puts it into her visor. She puts it on, bzzz, all that. So like, she's like, ah! She, like, the fear goes into her head. Like, ah! She's sort of completely freaking out. So she stops making. So the good news, she stops making these things, and she looks around. The demon's like, demons, 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 demons. And she's like running around like she's seen it the first time. How are the demons do something surprising? First of all demons that are nearby, I think we'll just take one last slide. In the pandemonium, everybody in the room, I'm just going to give you 2 attacks, right? Just to see if in the pandemonium the demons take a last slash at you as they move by. Roll your own d20 against yourself. Give yourself a +2 on that.
A +2.
Against your own AC. So basically be your own DM. So roll a +2 attack against your AC.
I rolled a
Cool,
5.
I'm good.
I rolled a
I got
14.
15 my
wait,
so
no. This is
So you
bad.
either
What's
got
the
hit or
bonus?
not, yeah.
Bonus.
So
What's
be
the
your own
bonus?
DM here. You're rolling the demon attacking you. If you're in the room, if you're out here, it doesn't happen. But this counts as being it.
Is it 14 or higher?
16.
I got hit.
16. Okay,
Okay.
hit myself.
If you got hit, give yourself 3 points of claw damage.
8 burn or something.
Oh, so only 2
Only
people
three,
got it.
3, yeah.
Yeah.
But these things have multi-attacks, so now everybody roll against yourself one more time. Same deal.
Oh yay! I rolled a 1.
I saw that. That was a 20. If you roll a 20, let me know.
Not 20.
I have a
Oh,
special
you're
ability,
right.
but I'm not
Oh.
choosing to reroll.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
Yes.
Okay, if you
That's
got,
why I'm happy. It's a 1.
you wait for a second. If you got hit, you take another 3 points of claw damage.
I got a 1 against him.
One second, I gotta check this spell.
You hit that time?
My demon was rubbish.
All right, good for you.
I see so high right now.
I'm just going to say my
I think yours is
intimidation.
one.
So again, you give yourself 3. You, let's talk
So
about critical hits, shall we? Because I've just got a few minutes here.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
Critical hits, when you
Well, I mean,
or
I'm
the
at here,
monster,
so I'm safe anyway.
when you or the monster roll a 20, then all things that you roll twice. Every die that rolls gets rolled twice. Your sneak attack gets rolled twice, for example. All your spell damage, if it's a ranged
good.
spell attack, will do both. So it's really sweet. But I'm still going to double the damage. I'm not going to roll for it. So you would take 6 points of claw damage. So you've taken some hammers on
You
this
still have
one.
9 damage.
Are you still up, though?
2 rolls. What do you have? 3 health left?
wait.
Less?
4.
Okay. This all happens because, like, after a few moments go by and she's running and screaming and not making portals anymore for whatever reason, the demons are like, and they talk to each other. Who here speaks Abyssal?
No.
Me.
I already know I don't.
I do.
Ah,
I
very
speak just-
good.
Yes. Yeah.
Why do you know Abyssal?
It's the relation of the conflicting deities that I have.
Oh, very
Yes.
good. Well, that's a fortunate choice because that is what demons speak. So you know they say to each other. And they basically say in sort of unintelligent sort of voice, but they seem to be sentient creatures enough that they have language. They say, she's not making any more of us, let's go. Like, this is over, she's done, let's go. And they all start moving up. like with claws, they start climbing the walls, which you've barely been able to see. You can tell there's all kinds of like bits of machinery around as you're moving around the room. There's tables. This is where all the machinery is. This is obviously where she's doing a lot of her creation. There's like some bed and there's still a bunch of drinks and stuff, but this is maybe not her drug and party room. This is her creation room. But the walls themselves are covered with racks and bookshelves and sort of tools and stuff. And they start climbing up those things and they start heading for the ceiling. I'd say there's still enough gas here that you can't tell, but they seem to be getting higher and higher, and they seem to be evidently trying to escape. You have one extra decision here. Who here is going to say, like, I'm going to try to kill or stop or engage this demon to stop it from leaving? Or is it like, it wants to get out of here, that's fine with me?
I've got full health.
How many
Okay.
demons?
Like at least 3 or 4.
I'm happy to let him go.
Yeah, I'm happy to let
Yeah,
him
you
go.
think?
So well, no, it doesn't have to be team decision. You can do individually, but it could. You might convince her not to because like less none of us piss them off. But it's more
I
a
have
personal
full health.
decision. But you can try to
I
convince
will hurt you.
May.
If I get hurt.
May is
I
like,
will
oh, I want to kill him, but all of you
I
like,
doesn't
let
listen.
them
I
go.
just
Yeah.
like-
It's like I don't have to smell him with his dead.
You can discuss it a little bit. Yeah. Last chance. It's all happening in the second. Yeah. So are you going to be convinced? Now it's up to you.
Yeah,
you still
I'm
make your decision.
convinced.
There's a chance that they could come back, but I mean, I think we could still fight them if
Yeah.
there's just 4.
I think I'm less convinced and more held back.
Okay. All right. Great.
We could always fight them. We can definitely take them down if they come back again.
They
If they
work
come
their
back
way
again,
up.
I'll be the first one to say, I told you so.
Yeah, they work their way up, and pretty soon their voices and snorts are getting quite distant. The ventilation in this room is pretty good, so but within a few more rounds, the fog disperses upward, the smoke disperses upward. Jop is still running around screaming. She's kind of like so full of fear.
I'm glad I gave her that
Yeah,
one.
she's like hiding under the table. She's like taking her bodies, like let's hide. I'm so scared. So she's a little bit out of it. You can see that the room, as I described it, and it still has all those holes, just like the first room. These holes are kind of slimy, and there's like this glop of sort of like this sort of the slime sort of drips out, and you can just see the end, the ass of these demons working their way up through these holes. And as they sort of scrabble, this sludge is sort of falling down. You sort of recognize, the smell and taste. Like one of you is like, this is really poisonous. Like you sort of stay back, and this is like damaging poison. It's not the same kind of poison the demons make, by the way. This is like a sort of a natural poison. Those of you who are trained in nature might say like, don't touch that. But the demons touched it, and they touched it lots as they moved up and out. So now some demons are moving out throughout the complex a little bit, but you have survived the fight. So once again, good job.
Woo. I have an empty glass bottle. Is it possible to try to collect some
Sure.
of the
Oh yeah.
poison?
Yeah.
Might be useful.
Yeah. You have an empty bottle from a port. Tip something out. You can say you have a
There's an
bottle.
old potion.
Let's say it's only one drip. Unless on the next thing you can go up and collect some. I'll say
I
one
have
for.
2 empty bottles.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say if you happen to have an empty bottle, you get it fast enough. Otherwise, it's all taken. So if you already have an empty bottle, use it. If you don't, then
What is
you
it?
don't get a chance
Poison
because somebody else gets
or-
it. Yeah. Just say poison from Jop Lair. All right. Very good. Oh, I didn't tell you to change this. I didn't change that slide. Set piece combat, did I?
No.
Did you have it up there anyway?
Yeah.
Good job, Liam. Sorry. So we are now at resolution. All right.
Once the.
Yeah.
roll-
I think this is
Can I
combat.
get 2 bottles? Because I have 2 bottles
Nope,
with me.
only one.
Just the
Sorry.
one?
Yeah, you only have time to get one, or there's only enough. It's like one big fat glop sort of fell down in a couple different spots.
And you guys thought I was with picking a mushroom. You guys
No, we could throw it at someone.
I can throw this mushroom at someone.
No, put it in.
Don't
I'm
threaten
going to give
me
you
every time.
XP. So the XP, I add up the XP from the demons you dealt with. Now, this combat,
Good
this
tanks.
combat, you kept it moving, but with this many people, you didn't have a chance to really fight a lot of things. So it's not a whole lot of XP because you don't necessarily get XP for every demon that ran away. This was a great victory, and I'm going to basically make it as if you personally killed, say, 3 demons. You killed one, you've nearly killed another, the rest ran away. I'll give you credit as if you killed a demon there, and then a few just got away that you don't really get credit for. So I'm going to add up what these demons are. Remember, each of these, I meld them together, so each of them is actually 2 demons. So that is, 1 demon is normally 50, so each of these pairs 100. So each demon is 100, so that's 50 times 2, and I'm giving you credit for 3. That doesn't seem quite enough
So
because
what
I'm
was
dividing this by 8. So it'd be 300 divided by 8. I'm going to give you another 100 because it makes the math easier, and I just think you deserve
So
it.
each demon was worth 50 points.
50, but each demon was actually worth 100 points because it's a 50-point
Yeah.
demon, but each
Squished
rest was
together.
actually 2 squished together. So 400 points are on offer. We just divide that evenly.
Okay.
whether you're level 1 or level
So
2. I think
50
you're all level
each.
2. Yes, so
Yeah,
50
50
each. So this combat itself, because you never got in a whole lot of danger, it wasn't as high as the
Whole
previous
lot
one.
of danger. Whole lot of danger.
Some mates took it all.
But you did get a good objective,
ran
and
forward.
you have something that might be just as interesting, because as you look around here, you realize this place is full of loot. And Jop is, does anybody vote if you just don't want to take Jop stuff? If you want to be nice and not take her stuff, raise your hand.
I have sleight
Of course
hand.
you want to take her stuff.
I have sleight of hand. I will happily take her
She
thing.
attacks us.
She consumed it. No, she put it in the visor and zapped it. It's gone. Yeah. Like when you find the visor later on, you can investigate later on. When you look in the visor, it smells like burned skin and ozone. And you see this little socket with like little pins, but there's nothing in the socket. It's like a little charred mark. Your
Maybe you
visor,
could
your
put
shard is
the
gone.
visor
Both
back.
shards are
Who
gone.
lost
I'm
their
gonna keep-
shard.
Make sure you cross off that shard, by the
Person,
way.
I'm going to make her happy that we're taking us then.
The visor she didn't take, and she freaked out so much that you still have that visor. Even though she said give it to me, she ignored the fact that it was
Oh,
a visor.
yeah.
She says it's a janky visor. anyway.
Yeah, I kind of
She has
expected- I
a
was
very
like, you
nice
can have
visor.
it. You just gotta
She
figure
has
it
a
out.
silver visor around her neck, but it's hanging around her neck, and she's so paranoid that she's not going to let anybody. You'll have to fight her to get close, and we don't have time for that. Anyway, that might be for next time. That was your XP, 50 XP that you all get based on that fight. But lots of loot here. This is another hoard. Is a hoard of treasure. So next session we'll start off by divvying up the hoard. There's magic items. There are more coins. There's more things. Also, keep in mind, like I posted last time, you can have the good fortune, especially here, to find in the hoard something you happen to want. She's got everything except for weapons and armor. Right? But weapons and armor you can buy from the kobolds. You're pretty well covered either way. That means that, remember, you'll find some number of coins. Just start to make a shopping list. When we come in here, or I'll post just have an eye on what you might want to find in the hoard. Just start looking for a shop. You can't come in with it, but just start looking at what you might want to find in the hoard that costs some money. Something like that. We'll just start to, but I'll send that link around after next session. We'll start by divvying it up. New ally or resource gained. Well, Jop, if she were to calm down, at least she's alive. So that's something that you've got a good pattern for. So yeah, she's alive. I'll write that down. Whether she's useful to you, like maybe BB and all that. Already done that. You also have here, I'll do the hoard, I'll add this. There's a lot of drugs, so we'll go ahead and put that in. So add drugs, I'll note next time, but we're out of time. Like I said, she's wearing her silver visor. Memento loot, you can imagine what's sort of in this party room. If there's anything that I described, they think it's obviously not worth very much money, like, I want a costume, I want a hat, I want something else, you feel free to start giving yourself little bits of
I was
things.
just about to say, you mentioned that the room smelled of incense and herbs.
Ah, yes, you can find, but you're very much justified finding the stuff that you need for Find Familiar, for example. So just come with your shopping list, we'll work it out next session. Okay, you are at the end. There's no exit from here. So you now have some idea. Jop is the mastermind who is the one who's designing and making these bots. So, her business is to get machine parts, turn them into bots, sell them to gnolls, but also consuming these shards give her the ability to open up these rifts that have lots of power that she's using, but it also calls demons into the world, and demons are extremely bad. So now you have some idea maybe why the Reds are not so crazy about, like, shards bad, glowing shards bad. Now that you know that devils versus demon rivalry that was very well exposed here gives you some idea of how the power dynamics in this world are working. Start thinking about how to use these dynamics. Who do you make enemies of? Who do you try to make allies of? Jop is probably will become as allied with you as all the kobolds once she comes down a bit. So we'll do that later.
Yeah,
we should
sorry.
go back and talk to the devil.
Yeah, very good, very
But, like-
good.
like-
You went to the fight. That's what
I
counts.
feel like
Thank you
if
very
we
much. Make
get
sure you
her
fill out
off
your
her addiction,
fill out your forms,
she's fine.
or please fill out your forms. You
If
don't
we
have
get
to,
her
but
off
if you
the
can, I still
addiction,
appreciate those very much.
she's
I'm
fine.
still taking donations. So remember, patreon.com/rollingrogues. You can just donate there, and you never have to tap your card again. But you're never obligated to donate, but you help support everybody else, and it is $6 a person to
Just
stay here. Thank you very much.
So having negative emotions was good because she could have experienced.
Oh, sorry, quick vote. So we'll take a vote. You can leave now if you need to. You have two choices for the next session. You can do another investigation session, just like you did at the end of the bottom of the brick dungeon. You can spend a session figuring out the items that you find. We'll be dividing up the loot. You'll answer some questions. Or you can go ahead and say, okay, now let's figure out what the goblins are up to. 'Cause that was one thing that
What was
you
the
were
first
thinking
option
of.
again?
First option is do a session of investigation, just like you did an investigation session in the red dungeon, and you were able to do a lot of skill rolls and discover a lot of things and figure out your items and figure out secrets in the world. There will probably be a whole lot of combat with that. That usually doesn't involve, usually a bit of action, not much. Or get out and figure out what the goblins are up to. That's like the third sort of leg of the tripod. It's like, okay, we know what the Reds are up to, we know what these Silver Visor people are up to, or what those are for, but the goblins, what's organizing them? Why are they getting the machines? What's motivating them? And that would be outdoors, probably more combat and all that stuff. Debate amongst yourselves. We'll take a vote in a couple minutes, but I'll do some donations while we do that. While you
I'd
debate.
be fun with either, but I'm kind of leaving.